The man behind the wheel is Jack Haynes, a long-haul trucker. On any other night, he'd be on the lookout for a good time. But that's changed. A lot has changed for Jack because of one overheard telephone conversation. He learned that tonight his wife is meeting another man here at the Mustang Bar. His name? Unknown. The only thing Jack Haynes knows for certain is that tonight there's going to be murder at the Mustang. A little place 10 miles from town and deep in the heart of the Twilight Zone.
How could I believe them true until an angel softly whispered, he has been untrue to you. Under the weeping willow tree. And when she sees where I'm sleeping, maybe then she'll weep for me. Tomorrow was our wedding day. Oh God, where can she be? She's gone.
What'll it be? Beer. You looking for somebody? Yeah. Yeah. Regular? Could be. Well, if you tell me who it is, if I see him, I'll tell him you're here. All right, I'll find him. Suit yourself.
Maybe then she'll weep for me. Thank you. That's one of my favorite songs. I grew up listening to it. Now I'd like to try. I'd like to do one of my own songs. Too many nights have been alone. Too many times I should have called. Now I hear you got someone new. Hear whispered words on the telephone. But if I can't have you, damn if anybody will. Lord, I never thought I had it in me to kill. Never thought it would come to this. Always thought that we could never rest. I'm breaking my heart, so sad, so lonely. And those whispered words on the telephone. But if I can't have you, damn if anybody will. Lord, I never thought I had it in me to kill. After 10 years of loving, it's hard to understand why you had to go stepping out with another.
Pretty good, ain't he? Yeah. Who is he? I don't really know. He just came in out of the storm a few hours ago. Looking for a dry room, cold beer, and a few hours work. Turned out to be pretty good. I figured I'd let him open for the house band tonight. They're real natural. That's probably why it took me a while to notice.
Notice what?
The guy is blind as a bat.
So what did you think of my song?
It's all right.
You from around here? I'm new around here myself. Just felt like dropping by. I travel around a lot.
By yourself?
Well, you sound surprised. Is it because of these?
Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything. Look, I'd love to sit around here and chat with you, but if you don't mind, I've got something to do.
Well, you never told me what you thought of my song. Kind of hits you where you live, don't it?
What?
That's what it was meant to do.
You say the song is about me. Look, don't jerk me around. Not tonight. I've never seen you before in my life.
That's right.
So what makes you think you know all about me?
I don't know all about you, just the bad things. See, I've been blessed. Or cursed, maybe, with a talent. Sometimes the songs just kind of come to me when I'm around certain people.
And I'm one of those people.
What do you think?
I think you're full of crap. I'm doing just fine. I'm a lot happier than you'll ever be.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. You're a real happy man. You're always telling stories, hanging out, pulling little practical jokes, going on the road and having a good time. Yeah, you're a real happy-go-lucky type. Yeah, you're so happy you sat out there in your truck drinking until you was brave enough to come in here. You're so happy you came in here ready to blow somebody's brains out. Yeah, you're a real happy man.
Oh, hell.
Oh, thanks. I've been there. I'm not interested. It seems to me you're halfway there.
Listen, I'm warning you. Don't mess with me or I swear I'll
Shoot me?
nuts.
I don't think so.
What are you gonna do? Call the cops?
No.
You're really something, aren't you? I'll tell you what, Mr. Singer Man. You know so damn much about everything. Why don't you shave some of the time off my pain? Tell me which one of these bastards is running around with my wife.
I don't know anything about your wife or what she's doing. I can only feel your pain, and there's going to be a lot more of it if you go through with this.
Will you look at that?
What are you going to do, Jack?
I'm just gonna stand here and wait.
What then?
Oh, brother. Don't tell me she came here to meet him.
Do it, Jack.
Go off.
Okay, give. What makes you so special?
You mean the blonde?
No, the hairy truck driver. Yeah, the blonde.
Money, charm, and, my tight jeans. You know what she wants me to do?
I can't wait to hear.
She wants me to get out of her face.
So you don't know her?
Never seen her before in my life. Sure wish I did.
You almost took out the wrong guy, Jack. Think about it, Jack. What if you find the wrong guy? What if...
Why the hell did you go bother somebody else?
Because I'm not here for them. Really bothers you, doesn't it, Jack? The idea of your wife playing a little catch-up with what you've been getting away with for years.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, come on, Jack. You've been running around on her and justifying it. Now you're worried she's doing the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Oh, that's what you're telling me. The redhead in Detroit, the blonde in Toledo.
You know what I think, Mr. Singer Man? I think you're not blind at all. Answer me when I talk to you.
I'd say you just got your answer, Jack.
was a surveyor then. Good one, too. Folks said I had the eye for it. Anyway, I hit Philly 5 years ago come Sunday. Got a job there. And one night I was in this bar, kind of like this one, I suppose, and I met this redhead. Oh, we're drinking and dancing and having a good time. And then this guy comes up to me. Last thing I ever saw was that guy standing there. Funny thing was, I never saw the guns. Just this bright flash, and the sound, big as the end of the world. It was the redhead's husband. And the slug went right through me. Come out here. Just kept on going. Went right through his wife. Killed her. A week later, the husband, he hung himself in his jail cell. I guess he couldn't live with what he'd done. Me, I got better after fashion. You know how they say when you lose one sense, the other ones get sharper? Well, I guess that's kind of what happened to me. I get a feel for people's pain. You know what it's like? It feels like sandpaper. Tastes like copper. Sounds like thunder, close and getting closer. I can fix right in on it. Then about 6 months later, I found out the gift had a second part. The songs that really come to me.
Just like that, huh, Love?
I'll be drawn to a place I won't know who's there, what I'm there to do. But after a while, the song comes. And I know. Jack, I've seen a lot of guys like you. Some listened and some didn't. Now you gotta decide for yourself, Jack.
Hey, where you going?
Looks like her boyfriend showed up after all.
Oh, my God.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah.
Guy ought to give lessons. He's definitely doing something right.
I can't.
We finally parted.
You say something, mister?
It was friendly.
No.
We never made
Nothing at all.
There was no one thing that we could really point to. Just that marriage made a boring pair of us. I used to think about other girls who we were loving. I don't know how or why they just came slipping through. But ever since that night you sent me back, when I'm
Jack.
Hey, Jack.
What are you doing?
My God, not you!
screens out. Let the cops flush them out.
You're going the wrong way, Jack. Even I can see that.
Get out of my way!
Didn't quite work out like you figured, did it, Jack? Never does. They're searching for you, Jack. And if I can find you, you know they can find you. Why don't you try that?
No, it was my best friend.
Any idea why he did it?
Oh, no, he just came out of nowhere. I mean, we were there. It's our anniversary next week, and she wanted to get something special for him. She's been saving for months, you know, so we're trying to think of something. She came up with this idea, something for the truck, you know, mag wheels or something, you know. It's gonna be a surprise. God damn it, I don't understand why, you know, like, they lie! God!
I know, it's a little thing I forgot to mention about the songs they sing. They got a real mean chorus. But it's your choice, Jack. And this time, it's for real. So what are you gonna do? Cold night.
How did you know which truck? Never mind. I almost threw it all away in there tonight.
Yep.
Look, is there something that I...
Well, could you give me a lift down the road?
Got it. Look, I don't mean anything personal by this. I never heard of anybody getting shot like that. Surviving.
Look, it's late. I got more songs to sing tonight. We better get going.
Right.
No comment necessary, except to note the necessity of caution when the hands show midnight in the dark hour of the human soul. A song of warning. As certain as death and taxes, we are told the meek will definitely inherit the earth. Perhaps, but not always. Consider, if you will, Mr. Archie Lochner, a well-known petty crook, sidebar 6 for 5er Shylock, registered coward, and owner of a yellow streak so vivid it could be slathered on a hot dog. Mr. Lochner was written out of the will when the meek were guaranteed their inheritance. And just now, he's trying to avoid another kind of payoff. A soulful payoff in that off-track betting parlor we call the Twilight Zone.
Cease your flight, you four-flushing fistfire! This is the second most ill-advised action you have ever taken, Archie Lochner, you miserable garment of human meat. The first was trying to make a bargain that would outwit me. I'm 32,000 years old, you human virus. Even among my peers in the fourth canonic order of demons, I'm considered a truly ghastly dinner companion. Did I mention I enjoy sucking the marrow from the living bones of idiots like you? Whatever made you think you could outwit the magnificence of Volker?
I still got 2 days. The contract ain't up for 2 days. Why is it you're tormenting me?
Because I'm a demon, you imbecile. I don't send singing telegrams. I torment. It's what I do. That's why I'm called a demon instead of the Easter Bunny.
2 days? You made the deal. You don't bug me for 2 days.
Bug you. Bug you. 2 days from now, I'll remember you mentioned bugs. Perhaps I'll turn you into one. A small, black, crawling bug, not unlike the kind I spear with a claw, crack like a nutshell, and feed to my serpent mate, Diptha. She loves to be bugged.
You gotta help me. You gotta save me. My life is in your hands. It's gonna turn me into a bug, a thing that crawls, and then it's gonna eat me. No. It's gonna give me to his wife, his snake lady, and she's gonna eat me. So you better help me, because if you don't, it's gonna be all over for me.
Why don't you twist off his head, Mr. Lancaster, sir?
I perceive that you must be seriously deranged to burst in here unannounced, Archie, with half my boys looking for you. That is, unless you have secreted somewhere on your scrofulous body the $165,000, including today's interest at 750%, that you have owed me for 3 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days.
You gotta protect me, Mr. Lancaster.
I can do that, sir. I can twist off his head for you, Mr. Lancaster, sir.
Sit, Bork. Nino, before we have Gus and Bork reduce him to his component parts for shipment, would you be interested in hearing his tale of woe?
Calmly now, Archie. Tell us what seems to have unhinged you.
The 165 G's I got loaned from you, Nino, I needed it because I had to make this kind of deal with this demon. This thing with big teeth, he calls himself Volkerps.
A supernatural being.
Yeah, you got it. A creature of Stygian darkness, a denizen of the nether reaches, a monster from some nameless plane of witchcraft and horror. Yeah, you got it.
Bork, twist his head off.
No, I ain't making it up, Mr. Lancaster. Honest, I ain't making this up. That thing's after me. He's right out there in the alley.
Go on.
Well, we made this kind of deal, me and this Volkerps. See, he gives me all the winners at Pimlico, Aqueduct, Santa Anita, Hawthorne, Liberty Bell, and Maywood, all in the same day. See?
In exchange for?
First refusal option on 51% of my immortal soul.
Things must be worse in hell than we know. Your soul's gotta be pretty grungy and soiled, kid.
They said good help was hard to come by. He mentioned doing windows and floors. What do I know?
Then you'd be able to pay me back in full. including the crippling interest rate, and you'd finally manage to extricate yourself from the nasty, brutish life that distinguishes you.
Well, that's how I supposed it will be. Oh, yeah, sure. And pigs will fly, eh? I mean, he gave me all the winners, all right. 20, 30, 42 of them. And I bet them all, and they won. Each and every one of them. Except a few of them, they had strokes, and they died as they crossed the finish line. And a bunch of them got disqualified because it was full of dope. And 11 of them got scratched for bumping in the stretch. And on and on and on like that. Oh, sure. They all came in first, all right. And I lost every cent I got for you, Mr. Lancaster. And that's why I've been ducking your collectors. And that's why this Mr. Volkert is going to come and take me away and eat me if you don't protect me.
Why should I bother, even allowing that this fantasy has a basis in fact?
Well, $165,000 plus the interest for 4 months, including next week.
Miss Thorne is my accountant, Archie. She makes a strong case for your continued existence, despite its truly distinguished wretchedness.
Then you believe me?
I believe that I believe you believe it. As the most powerful underworld figure in this great metropolis, I have managed to make cohesive sense of the rackets. Now I grow bored. Ennui fills my days and nights. Save for the joys of my association with Miss Thorne, of course. You've bought yourself a momentary reprieve through dint of sheer imagination, Archie. I won't have Gus and Bork dissect you. I will assist you. Already I feel heroic. Now tell me, how did you even go about locating a demon in these conservative climes?
Well, this is woman I heard about, supposed to have a strong in with the netherworld. I visited a couple of times. She set it up. I think she gets commission.
I suggest we pay her a visit. Gus, the car, if you please.
Try to hurry, dear. We have dinner with the mayor tonight.
You are the impressive Cassandra Fishbein, trafficker in the black arts?
I'm a beautician, beauty technician, and cosmetologist. I got a license.
Miss Fishbein, my name is Nino Lancaster. I'm a business associate of Mr. Lochner here. He advises me you served as a go-between, amanuensis, amicus curiae, for him and a, personage named Volkerps.
I'm calling a cop.
Probably not. Very likely in my employ in any case. I ask your assistance voluntarily. Or perhaps I could ask my employee, Mr. Chaucer, to persuade you.
Hey, who the hell are you? Look, I'm just a poor businesswoman trying to make an honest buck in a world of kids hot for purple hair and shaved heads.
Ah, yes, business. Have you ever considered the range of unexpected tragedies that could befall an unwary coiffeuse, whose insurance premiums, no matter how exorbitant, would not cover the mysterious mixing of DDT with her shampoos? Or the inconvenience resulting from perhaps, all of a sudden, the truckers who schlep said wares from the distributors decide they've lost the bills of lading, and said goods wind up in Beirut? Or the constituted authorities suddenly get it into their heads to toss the businesswoman's apartment for illegal and noxious substances, which would, I'm sure, result in said authorities discovering nickel bags of such vegetation and powders stuck down in the pillows of a sofa? Pardon my complex syntax, but I imagine you get my drift.
Well, yeah, I set it up for this guy, but I'm just sort of a clearinghouse for a select few demons and soul traders of a very high quality. There's this quota of souls they have to make each year just to stay in good with the boss, and I'm sort of a canvasser, a scout, to steer likely prospects.
Excellent. Here, you will set up a meeting with Mr. Volkerps for us.
When?
Don't
Now,
You're out of your mind. This Volkerps has a very ugly personality. He'd think I'd turn him. Are you trying to get me snuffed?
have you ever considered how cold and uncomfortable it is being hung upside down on a meat hook in a freezer?
By all the Majas of Solomon's court, by the three-eyed moon of Astaroth, I call thee, Volkerps, to come forth.
Cassandra, I smell betrayal.
No, honestly, they made me call you. Get him. Do it, almighty Volkerps. Waste him.
First things first, Cassandra. The little rat human, he has 2 days. But you... Next.
Don't just stand there! Pile! Pile!
What happened? Where's Nino?
I don't know. He's dead. He's gotta be dead. Volkerps came. Big! He was big and right there. He came straight from hell. He still stunk a rotten egg.
You left him? You ran?
He ran like hell. The thing just fricasseed the woman. Hit her with some kind of laser. It turned her into ashes like an old cigar.
Oh my God, Nino! Nino! All right. That means we have to consolidate our interests. Get the accounts transferred into the corporate name, begin amortizing the rolling stock, and make sure that none of the boys try to take over the territory.
Are you crazy? That thing's gonna fry us and eat us. It's coming!
Who's there?
Nino, open up.
You alone?
I said open the door, now.
Nino, honey, what happened? Can you walk?
Obviously.
Well, is your body burned?
It's going to be a little more difficult than I thought.
I'm doomed. If you can't take him, what chance have I got?
I didn't say it was impossible. I said it was going to be a little more difficult than at first I thought.
How'd she get away?
I dazzled him with fancy footwork. Okay, let's get to it. Gus, Bark, go see Nuncio at the docks. Have him talk to our people at the ship fitting operation. Get me 100 gallons of lead paint.
What color, boss?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it comes in battleship gray, you know, which is like your standard color. Maybe we can get him to mix up a special batch in some nice pastel.
Quiet! I don't care what color. Get gray, get anything, but get me 100 gallons with the highest lead content they can find. Then spray the inside of this office. Ceiling, floor, walls, windows, every inch of it, every corner. Then do it all over again. And when you're done, do it 10 times more. While they're getting the paint, you keep an eye on Archie. I've got a long trip ahead of me.
Hey, wait a minute. You can't just go and leave me here. Where you going? Where's he going?
Some things you don't want to know.
This is gonna save me?
I am not at the pinnacle of my profession for nothing, Archie. We have to wait till midnight. He'll come at midnight. Anybody who wants to go, do it now. Not you, Arky.
Here's looking at you, kid.
I thought you'd had enough!
I'll give you one chance.
What?
Cancel the contract with Arky. Give him about $1 million to make up for what he lost at the track. Go slime back to your pit, and I won't kick the crap out of you. Hazel, the door! Arky, the patch!
I'm bleeding. I'm actually losing pus, ichor, and lovely slime.
You lousy twerp. Enough is enough. Submit. I order you by the power of Asmodeus, Belphegor, Belial, and the Toad of Death, to suppress thyself. Submit, suppress. Get your miserable, ugly backside into the box, you twerp. You lousy punk. I've had some small experience in these matters.
Is that how you got away from him in the beauty shop?
Mm-hmm. He got me a little, but he couldn't get me very much.
I'll get you. I'll rend you. I'll savage you. I'll shred you. I'll suck your bones dry as death.
Listen, punk. You think you're the first slug from hell, all puffed up with hot air, who ever tried to muscle in on my operation? If you're wondering how I beat you, look around in there. You're small potatoes.
Papa? Papa, what are you doing in here?
You idiot. Oh, I know I shouldn't have left the family business in your inept claws. You're a fool.
Like father, like son.
You saved me. You saved me.
Yeah, I saved you. Now all you gotta do is make a deal with me. Business, Arky, is strictly business.
Oh, Arky. Poor Mr. Lochner. In that magical, mystical bookie parlor we call the Twilight Zone, there's an old very old saying. Making a deal with a demon is seriously crazy, but making a deal with
Mr. Stevens, good morning. You ready to take your test? Okay. I'll help you. Now? Okay, just step up on the treadmill, please. First foot. Good. Now, we're going to start out very slowly. Ready? And start. Good. That's not so hard, is it? That's very good. How about a little faster? Good work.
Don't be deceived by the youthful appearance of our subject, Darius Stevens. He abused his body for 79 years. Now he's walking on his own bought and paid for 2 feet, down a path he hopes will lead him into a new life.
This is sick. The man is 79 years old, for God's sake.
And there's no reason why he can't live for another 79.
With an artificial brain? You've turned him into a robot. What does that prove?
No. He's not a robot by any means. He's human.
It's incredible.
Back in the 80s and early 90s, this would have been impossible. But now, with ultra-miniaturization, the sky's the limit.
Well, it seems to me the limit is good sense, and you've overstepped it by a long shot.
Michael, please.
No, I mean it. I mean, this experimenting with people's heads, it's outrageous. Go on, admit it, Wilson. You've never done this operation before on a human. I mean, what might work for a monkey won't necessarily work on a man. Even my father.
It's true. Your father was the first human to receive a total brain implant. However, if things go as expected with the last neurological tests, he'll be ready to lead a normal life within days.
Normal?
Essentially, this is Darius Stevens. We reduced all the memories, all the facts, all the powers of reason, even the feelings that comprise what we knew as Darius Stevens into this microdisc.
My husband has one of those in his head.
No, this was just an interim step. We had to digitalize the data. Then, I'm sorry, I can't explain this without getting technical. He thinks, therefore he is.
Oh, how philosophical of you, Doctor. But let me address another question. As I understand it, my father is just about now 60% machine by weight. Does that sound very human to you? Well, maybe I'm asking the wrong person. You're a mechanic. You're a man of medicine.
I don't think we need to discuss this any further.
Thank you for everything, Doctor.
We're not out of the woods yet, Anita. Darius was a very active man. It'll be your job to see he doesn't overdo it.
I will.
See you later.
So, when is the Tin Man getting back from physical therapy?
Michael, I've had just about enough of your cynical attitude. Sounds to me like you'd rather have him dead.
Oh, really?
It wouldn't have anything to do with you wanting to take over his company, would it?
The fact is, the man is brain dead, and at the very least, he is not competent enough to manage his own affairs.
The man is your father.
No, he was my father. But this bunch of circuits and tubes and wires and
Now,
pumps
you
are
get this
nothing.
straight, Michael. As long as I am in control of his medical care, I don't want you or anyone else interfering.
You don't say so. Let me tell you something, Anita. He was my father for 50 years. He was your husband for 6. You tell me whether I can interfere or not. The man is dead. I accept it. Why can't you?
I look pretty good for a dead man, wouldn't you say?
Michael,
You look wonderful, darling.
Thank you. I feel terrific. What are you staring at? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Oh, Michael has his opinions as to whether or not you're actually here.
Maybe you're expecting the Frankenstein monster. Hey, Wilson is a Harvard man, but he's not that bad. Hey, come on now. Don't ever forget I'm still your father, right? And you're my son.
Well, I've got to be going. Stevens Incorporated can't run itself.
Don't worry, Michael. I'll be back tomorrow. And call New Orleans about that Jensen order. Don't forget to tell Harris about the sales meeting in Phoenix. And have Stein drop some projections on the Western region. I want them on my desk by the end of the day. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Susie, would you come in here, please?
I hope you took your vitamins. You're going to need them just to keep up.
Okay, Susie, there's a couple of things I want you to do for me today.
Knock, knock.
Anita. Or we'll talk after lunch, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were so busy.
No problem. Just give me a second.
Oh, now you've got to learn to slow down, darling. Dr. Wilson said you should ease into it.
Yeah, Dr. Wilson. Well, this is business, and if you snooze, you lose. Great. Okay. Where would you like to have lunch?
Well,
Excuse me. I hope I'm interrupting.
Michael. Larry, nice to see you. You know my wife, Anita? So what can I do for you gentlemen today?
I'm here to enact the company's succession plan.
What are you talking about? You can't do that unless I'm dead or sick. Now, do I look sick to you, son?
Doesn't matter how you look. See, that computer looks fine, but it's neither alive or dead. It's a machine like you. I'm taking over.
Like hell you are. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm more alive than I ever was. Is that why you're here, Larry? Would you smell a little blood in the water?
Insulting my attorney won't do you any good. He's here for a purpose. Do it.
Are you Darius Stevens?
Now, that's kind of a ridiculous question, even from you, Larry. Hey, what's this?
It's a summons to appear in court.
You left me no choice.
What are you trying to prove, Michael?
What am I trying to prove? That Darius Stevens is dead.
This is all new territory for the law, Darius.
There must have been cases before this. Some precedent must have been set by now.
The rights of patients who've been kept alive on machines have been established over and over and over, but there has never been a test case involving a human being who is more than 50% machine.
Well, what does having a few artificial organs and joints have to do with it? I don't understand.
Well, that's not exactly the point.
Nobody begrudges you an artificial heart or liver or kidneys. What's at issue is your brain, and that's a very gray area. Pardon the pun.
That is ridiculous. You wouldn't say that someone with an artificial leg wasn't human.
But your leg doesn't do your thinking for you. As far as the law is concerned, when your brain is dead, you're dead.
But I am not dead. And with this brain, I can do the work of 3 men.
Being superhuman may in fact work against you.
But I'm everything I ever was, only better. Everything I felt and thought with my biological brain, I still think and feel. And what makes me most human, what makes any of us human at all, is that drive to live. And I have it. I have it inside of me.
Obviously. But what we're talking about is a power grab.
And you are up against your son. And he has a lot of cards in his hands.
Damn it! This is my company. I fought to make it what it is, and I'm going to keep it. Keep it.
I'll do what I can. I've already got my staff working on it. Just relax.
Just relax. My own son is contending that I'm dead.
We know better, don't we?
Well, I'm not going to sit on my hands, Dave. I'm going to do a search for any legal precedent that is vaguely related to this. I can do it faster than your staff.
Fine.
Come on. I can do this 10 times as fast.
I am processing the data within normal specifications.
Well, increase your specifications. What did I do with that readout?
I can't believe it.
Oh, hi.
Don't oh hi me. The doctor said you should take it easy.
Well, in addition to my legal problems, I have a business to run and a wife to support. I wouldn't be much good to you if I was broke.
Well, you won't be much good to me if you're dead either.
Honey, I'm really up against it now.
I know. I can't believe Michael would do this.
Well, we have to believe it. The hearings start in a week. I'm going to need your help and understanding. I'll be pulling some long hours to get ready for this.
Are you okay, darling?
Yes, I'm all right. Why?
It's the way you're talking. You're repeating words.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it. I'm probably just tired.
Darling, we have enough money to live on. Why don't we just turn our backs and walk away?
I can't do it. It's the principle of it.
You can count on me to help you in any way I can. Oh, God, what a day. I'm going to fix myself a drink. How about you, Dave?
Oh, thanks. I gotta go home. I've seen so little of my family in the last couple of weeks, my wife thinks I have a woman on the side.
Darling, can I fix you anything?
No. I was hoping we could go over the Supreme Court opinions. There's one in particular
Give
that
me
I
a break. We're doing fine.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
Day after tomorrow, we'll present our concluding arguments, then it's out of our hands. But tonight, I'm gonna go home and get some rest. I think you ought to, too. You sound exhausted. I know I am. Good night.
Good night, Dave. You didn't even say goodbye to Dave.
I'm going over these opinions. I'm a little bit preoccupied right now. Why don't you go home?
Darius Stevens, don't you dare try to dismiss me like that. Look, I'll read these, and you read those.
I'm glad you're not doing research for the other side. Darling. Darling, wake up. It's time to go home and go to bed. Bed.
What?
I'll come back tomorrow and finish my reading.
Don't you ever let up?
You know what they say, the early bird catches
The worm. Are you okay?
I guess I'm just tired. I think you...
Bad sector. Invalid file name. I think you better call the doctor. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Retry bad entry. Invalid error. Retry. Bad sector.
Just came to see for myself. My, how the mighty have fallen.
I hope you're happy, Michael.
Me?
You did this. You and your power-grabbing attorneys.
Calm down and don't take it so personally.
To you, this is just business. But you're going to have to live the rest of your life with the knowledge of what you did to your own father.
I didn't do this. He did it all by himself.
What's happening? What is it? What does it mean? What is happening? What's happening?
Just died. Doctor, we have renal failure.
I knew we should have shut his kidneys down when we first came in. Power drain is just too much.
Losing systolic pressure.
What does that mean?
Anita, Michael, wait outside.
Wilson, I think I have a right to be here, and I'd like to...
Outside now.
How is he, Doctor?
Anita, I'm sorry. We lost him.
I want to be with him.
Of course. Go ahead.
So what finally killed the Superman?
Can't explain it for sure. His CPU shut down completely.
What do you suppose caused that?
Whether it's overload or fatigue, I don't know for sure. Maybe we'll know more after the post-mortem.
Well, Doctor, I have just one more question.
Yes, Michael. This time he really is dead.
Thank you. I'll make the arrangements. Anita,
Darius.
are you alone?
Yes.
Well, obviously things didn't work out like I planned them.
But I thought you were...
Dead? Oh, no. There's still some kick left in this old man yet. Damn Wilson and his prototype anyway. I knew a Harvard man couldn't pull it off.
Darius, it really is you.
You're darn right. But you're going to have to be my arms and legs now. We have a real fight ahead of us, Anita.
Fight?
Oh, you didn't think I was going to take this lying down, did you?
But are you really alive?
Well, that's what we're going to have to prove, isn't it? Now, first, I want you to fill me in on everything that's happened the last few days. Then I want you to go down to the Hall of Records and bring all that information to Dave so he can compare that data with the data recorded at the hospital. Then you'll have to bring Wilson into it because he signed my death certificate.
Darius Stevens, the product of a new generation of medical miracles that began with false teeth, expanded into prosthetic limbs, and reached near godhood in plastic surgery and mechanical hearts. As we continue to second-guess and improve upon nature, we are reminded that there is more to being alive than mere flesh and blood. In the Twilight Zone.
Helping the next man this happens to.
Oh, careful. I have no idea how the thing works. All I know is that the voice tells me what it needs and I get it. Goodbye, Mr. Witherspoon. You keep up the good work. We could call it a sculpture. Would that make my niece happy? What? Oh no. If you happen to run across an old tuba, would you bring it by? I need it in 2 hours. The weeks passed, and the pressure on Mr. Witherspoon increased. His niece, Cynthia, decided it was time for intervention. She brought the doctor back, but this time with medical authority to confine him. Cynthia, do not do this to me. Uncle Edgar, please. It is just for 3 days while they observe you. It is too long. It has to be maintained, kept in balance. Mr. Witherspoon, you hear voices. That is not normal. You must understand that. You hear voices, too. No, healthy people do not hear voices. You hear mine, do not you? That is not the same thing. Why? What is the difference between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice? Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. You do not understand the risk you are taking. I knew it. There goes Tatoa. What is Tatoa? A tiny island in the South Pacific. What time is it? 3:17? At 3:17 in the afternoon, Tatoa became history because of you. Please, weather is still time. It will take me days to clean up this junk. Keep her away from it. Remember Tatoa. Dr. Sinclair felt a chill run down his spine. The confidence of the old man was terrifying. He was carted away, and the room was left silent. The machine sat dormant. Typical delusion of grandeur that he was vital to the world's survival. Poor Uncle Edgar. You will take good care of him, will you not? Mideast stalemate continues. Congress passes Transportation Act. And in the South Pacific, the tiny island of Tatoa is destroyed by a tidal wave. Details on this and all the news in an hour. Did he say Tatoa? Yes, the number for the Chronicle, please. Thank you. Hello, I want to check on a news story. I just heard something on the radio about a tidal wave destroying an island. Yes, that is it. Are there any details? 1,000. Really? When this afternoon? I mean, exactly what time? Thank you. Miss Walker. Yes, doctor. Tatoa was destroyed at 3:17 this afternoon. Is that bad? Last week, Santa Barbara was hit by an earthquake. I am not taking any chances. Oh my God, the landlady. She will destroy it. Santa Barbara? Get Mr. Witherspoon released immediately. Drive him home. You personally as fast as you can. The return was frantic. Dr. Sinclair realized that the obsession was not a delusion, but a duty. When they arrived back at the apartment, the landlady was already there, cleaning the place out, treating the delicate, world-saving components as common garbage. Don't touch the thing. You did not, did you? You have not touched anything or moved anything. Not yet. Why? Because this is the creation of a disordered mind. And by studying it, analyzing it just exactly as he left it, I can come to a deeper insight into Mr. Witherspoon's problem. He is a loony. What else do you have to know? No, 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 no. It is not that simple. I cannot rent this place with garbage in it. All right, I will rent it. You? Yes, yes. I will give you double what you are getting. I will be up later with the check. Thank you, Mistress Mulligan. He is escaped. Excuse me, Mr. Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon. Should I call the cops? No, no, no. Everything is going to be fine. You got a handkerchief? Oh, yes. Yes, right away. Thanks. That lady had me dressed so fast. I left mine behind. Mr. Witherspoon, I do not know how to begin to apologize. Nothing in my training had prepared me for a case like yours. Well, nice meeting you. Where are you going? Away, finally, after 11 years. But what about tough? The voice spoke to me while I was in your hospital. It said, Edgar, have you ever been to Miami? I said no, but I used to think it would be a nice place to retire. Go for it, the voice said. You are off duty. You mean all this is not necessary anymore? Sure it is. It is absolutely essential. The world still has to be kept in balance. So who is going to? And look, it needs adjusting already. That is it. Now, if I can just get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13. Well, I guess we solved that little problem. I would get cracking if I was you. Impossible. I refuse. Jeremy, really, you will grow to like it. Give it a chance. So long. Do not take any wooden nickels. Unless you really need them, of course. Mr. Witherspoon. No, a tambourine. I have to find a tambourine right away. Can you help me? Do you know where I can find a tambourine? If in the next few months you notice that there has been a spate of catastrophes, or things are just not going right, remember that Edgar Witherspoon replacement is learning how to make some precise adjustments. Do not worry, his education will not last long. And then you will have a chance to make a difference. Perhaps you might give thanks to a physician whose practice extends to the well-being of the entire planet. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair offers a unique form of preventative medicine, found only in the Twilight Zone. The transition for Dr. Sinclair was not immediate, nor was it easy. He stood in the center of the apartment, the silence now deafening. He looked at the machine, which seemed to hum with a quiet, persistent energy. It was a chaotic mess of wire, plastic, and history, but he began to see the patterns. He saw how the bicycle spoke connected to the coat hanger, which was tensioned by the pull of the leather shoe. It was a physical representation of the butterfly effect, a tangible map of causality. He spent the first night sitting on the floor, staring at the construction. He did not eat. He did not sleep. He simply watched, waiting for the voice. He wondered if the voice would come to him as it had to Edgar. He wondered if he was worthy of such a burden, or if he was simply the next custodian in a long, invisible line of guardians. By the second day, the hunger became secondary to the urgency. He noticed a slight tremor in one of the wires. It looked as if it needed to be moved 1 millimeter to the left. His scientific mind screamed at him that this was superstition, that the movement of a wire could not possibly affect the tectonic plates in the Pacific or the political stability of a nation. But the memory of Tatoa and Santa Barbara haunted him. He reached out, his finger trembling, and nudged the wire. The vibration in the room stilled instantly. He spent the next few weeks learning the language of the machine. It was a language of discarded objects. A specific type of paper clip from the 1950s held a different resonance than the modern, plastic-coated variety. He learned that a doll head, when placed at a specific angle, acted as a resonator for geopolitical tension. It was madness, and yet it worked. He began to lose interest in his practice. His colleagues called, asking when he would return to the clinic. He made excuses. He had patients who needed him, he told them, though he never specified that his patients were now the entire human race. He became a recluse, much like Edgar, but with a different focus. Edgar had searched for items. Sinclair searched for understanding. He found himself walking the streets, not as a doctor looking for symptoms, but as a scavenger looking for salvation. He found a tambourine in a thrift store, exactly as Edgar had needed. He brought it back and integrated it into the system. The world, he noted, remained remarkably stable for the next 6 months. No major earthquakes, no sudden tidal waves. He thought often of Edgar. He wondered if the old man was sitting on a beach in Miami, finally free from the heavy weight of the world, or if the voice was still guiding him, even from a distance. Perhaps, he mused, the voice was not a single entity, but the collective resonance of humanity, finding expression through the most unlikely of conduits. One rainy afternoon, a young child wandered into the hall outside the apartment. He was lost, crying for his mother. Sinclair opened the door, intending to help, and saw the child holding a broken toy. It was the missing piece he had been searching for to balance the southern hemisphere. He traded the child a shiny coin for the broken toy, and the boy went away happy. Reunited with his Jeremy Sinclair was no longer just a doctor. He was the keeper of the world, and he had a lot of work to do. The apartment was a chaotic masterpiece of forgotten geometry. It smelled of dust, oxidized metal, and the faint, sweet scent of dried lavender. To the average observer, it was a fire trap, a den of madness, a collection of refuse that belonged in a dumpster. To Edgar Witherspoon, it was the cockpit of the world. He moved through the space with the grace of a conductor, though his orchestra consisted of discarded bicycle spokes, bent paper clips, and the singular, forlorn plastic head of a doll that had lost its body a decade ago. Mr. Edgar Witherspoon was a man of peculiar habits. He was, in the eyes of his peers, a loony, a nutcase, a genuine wacko. He was always looking for things, and these things were rarely of monetary value. They were specific, they were ephemeral, and they were, in his mind, vital. Down the hallway, the complaints were piling up. The landlord, a woman whose patience had worn thinner than the wallpaper in the foyer, paced in front of the office of Dr. Jeremy Sinclair. She was agitated, waving her hands in the air as if trying to shoo away a persistent fly. He is crazy. That is what he is. A loony, a nutcase, a genuine wacko. Uncle Edgar is always looking for things. Things like 3 paper clips or a chrome coat hanger. Or 1 patent leather tap shoe. He rummages through trash cans. He goes to garbage dumps. He is always bothering my other tenants. One day it is bicycle spokes. Then it is baseball cards. And who do the tenants complain to? Yours truly. He will not let anybody into his apartment. Not even his own niece. All that junk he is collecting, it is a fire trap. He could hurt himself. And other people. Namely me. He needs your help. Yesterday he wanted a yo-yo. By 6 o'clock. And last week, pieces of broken dolls. Heads, arms, legs. Please do something, doctor. Please, for his sake. And ours, of course. His bell does not work. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair sighed, leaning back in his leather chair. He had heard many complaints, but the specific, almost rhythmic obsession of Edgar Witherspoon intrigued him. Ah, Mistress Milligan. I think he has disconnected it. Down there in the basement. Oh, thank you. Thanks anyway, Mr. Pilchick. But I already found a brass thimble. You are not Mr. Pilchick. I am Dr. Jeremy Sinclair. May I talk to you, Mr. Pilchick? Some other time, perhaps. I have to look for a doll head. The encounter had been brief, the dismissiveness of the old man striking. One old man, in a private world of irrational urgencies. For Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, it was an all too common sight. He had seen many who retreated into their own minds when the world outside became too chaotic to manage. But Edgar Witherspoon was a most uncommon old man, with a secret that reached out to the four corners of the earth. As the good doctor was about to discover, Dr. Sinclair eventually made his way to the apartment of Mr. Witherspoon. The air in the hallway was thick with the scent of old paper. He knocked, but there was no sound from within. He tried again. The door, surprisingly, was unlocked. He peered inside. "Your niece. She worries about you. She is a very nice woman, so tell her not to worry. See, a simple solution. Thanks for coming. It has been a pleasure meeting you. But I have to get on with my work." "Your work? I bet you would like to know what it is, would you not?" "Yes." "Wrong answer. You see a doll head here anywhere?" "You mean like that?" "Ah, too big. Also brunette. I need blonde. And I need it in 5 minutes." "And what for?" "You want Santa Barbara to fall into the ocean? Then stand aside, sir. Stand aside." "Woohoo. Just in the nick of time. No time to lose. Mr. Witherspoon, I am sorry. I should not be rude. You have come all this way to see me. May I come in? And it was so nice. A pleasure meeting you. Tell my niece hello. Now, if you will excuse me, I have got to stop the shaking in Santa Barbara. Mr. Witherspoon, on your way out, could you dump this? Good afternoon, doctor." The doctor left, his mind spinning. The encounter had been baffling. Later, he met with the niece, Cynthia. She was a woman of clear intention, tired of the burden her uncle had become. "Did you see Uncle Edgar?" "Yes, this morning." "Well, I could not exactly call it a long conversation, but long enough to realize that he is. Absolutely. On the other hand, Mr. Witherspoon appears happy and harmless. Harmless? He pesters strangers on the street. He runs after garbage trucks. That is far from harmless. Somebody saw him take a baby bottle out of its carriage. I am afraid he will get arrested next time. Doctor, I will sign anything. Cooperate in any way All right, maybe I will have another chat with him. A longer one. See if Did you hear that? What? There was something about Sorry, it was nothing. I do not know what I was thinking. I will call you. As soon as I can. Thank you very much. The doctor returned to the apartment. He was determined to break through the wall of insanity. He found the door and entered without invitation this time. Activity could be a problem. Acid rain is affecting the northern lakes even more than scientists. Mr. Witherspoon, go away. I am not home. It is Dr. Sinclair. I was here last week. You remember? Sorry, I was not home last week either. Mr. Witherspoon, I could legally force you to open this door to me. Is that what you want? You are a curious one. Odd, you mean? I mean nosy. I am paid to be nosy. Curious, really? Do you not think that is odd? Most people are curious for nothing. That is very nice for you. Are the hours good? Mr. Witherspoon, why do you collect doll heads, shoes, paper clips? I cannot afford Rembrandts. What? Oh no. Oh no. As usual, it has been lovely. Please do not call again. I may have to. The next time it might not be so lovely, you understand what I mean, Mr. Witherspoon. Wouldn't you rather invite me in of your own free will? You must. You must. Be very, very careful where you walk. The doctor stepped into the center of the room. It was filled with a construction that defied gravity and reason. It looked like the skeletal remains of a clock, fused with the scrap of 1,000 households. How is it, Cloushade? It is very interesting, Mr. Witherspoon. What is it? This? Yes. This is the only thing that keeps the world from going poof. Now, let me understand you clearly, Mr. Witherspoon. You say that this is what keeps the world from going poof. And it is not easy. Most things are nearly impossible to find. Where would you look for a skate key? Oh, I cannot imagine. I found one, though. You think that is crazy? Well, you would not by any chance have a business card, would you? Oh yes, of course. That was an easy one. Well, I will not take up any more of your time. I have seen more than enough. I used to be an engineer, earned lots of money, then I retired. Worst mistake I ever made. Life was so damned boring. And then the voice spoke to me. Oh, you also hear voices. You too? Please tell me about it. I was sitting in the park one day, feeding the pigeons, and suddenly, there it was. The voice. Edgar, it said. Have you ever been to England? Oh yes, why? No, that is what the voice asked me. Edgar, it said. In the heart of Big Ben, there is a pendulum that tells the clock how fast to tick. At the bottom of the pendulum, on top of the big weight, there is a stack of pennies. Every so often, they take one off. The clock speeds up. Or they put one on. The clock slows down. The pennies change the balance just a little, but enough to keep the whole mechanism running perfectly. So what you have here is some kind of clock. Of course not. Why would I build a clock? $3, any drugstore, does not lose 10 seconds in a year. Anyway, the voice said, Edgar, the world is a funny place. Little wars here, big wars there, volcanoes going off, storms, tornadoes, a terrific amount of noise and bother. You have to build something that will keep the world from going too far, maybe even going poof. What the pennies do for Big Ben, this does for the world. Who do you think it is who is speaking to you? Well, sometimes I think it is God, and then I think, no, God would have a deeper voice. Would you care for a prune, doctor? Oh, no, thank you. I was just leaving. But you have just arrived, warring with a growing sense of surrealism. You want Santa Barbara to fall into the ocean? Edgar asked, his tone suddenly serious. Then stand aside, sir. Stand aside. Jeremy stepped back, watching as the old man moved with a frantic, focused energy. Edgar scrambled through his collection, found a blondel head, and placed it in a specific position on a complex contraption of wires and oddments. Woohoo! Just in the nick of time, Edgar cheered. No time to lose. Jeremy was left standing in the doorway, bewildered. He apologized for his intrusion, but Edgar dismissed it with a wave of his hand. It was a pleasure meeting you. Tell my niece hello. Now, if you will excuse me, I have to stop the shaking in Santa Barbara. As Jeremy left, Edgar called out, asking him to take out the trash on his way. Outside, Cynthia was waiting. Did you see Uncle Edgar? She asked anxiously. Yes, this morning, Jeremy replied, his mind still spinning. Well, I could not exactly call it a long conversation, Jeremy said, trying to maintain his composure. But long enough to realize that he is, well, harmless. Harmless? Cynthia cried. He pesters strangers on the street. He runs after garbage trucks. That is far from harmless. Somebody saw him take a baby bottle out of its carriage. I am afraid he will get arrested next time. Doctor, I will sign anything. Cooperate in any way I can. Jeremy promised to return. He felt a gnawing uncertainty. The man was clearly delusional, yet there was a strange, undeniable conviction in his movements. When he spoke to Cynthia, he felt a sudden, inexplicable sound in the air, a hum that vibrated in his teeth. He brushed it off as nothing. Later, at his office, Jeremy could not focus. He kept thinking about the blondel head and the mention of Santa Barbara. A week passed, and the urge to confront Edgar became irresistible. He returned to the apartment. Go away, Edgar called out from behind the closed door. I am not home. It is Dr. Sinclair, Jeremy replied. I was here last week. You remember? Sorry, I was not home last week either, Edgar shouted back. Mr. Witherspoon, I could legally force you to open this door to me. Is that what you want? You are a curious one, Edgar said, the lock clicking open. Odd, you mean? Jeremy asked as he stepped inside. I mean nosy, Edgar corrected. I am paid to be nosy. Curious, really? Do you not think that is odd? Most people are curious for nothing. That is very nice for you. Are the hours good? Jeremy sighed. Mr. Witherspoon, why do you collect doll heads, shoes, paperclips? I cannot afford Rembrandts, Edgar replied deadpan. Jeremy struggled to keep his patience. He tried to explain the risks, the danger, but Edgar was unswerving. He showed Jeremy the contraption he had built. It was a mess of junk, yet it possessed a strange symmetry. How is it, cloudshade? Edgar asked, looking at a particular component. It is very interesting, Mr. Witherspoon, Jeremy lied. What is it? This? Yes. This is the only thing that keeps the world from going poof. Jeremy stared at the man. Now, let me understand you clearly, Mr. Witherspoon. You say that this is what keeps the world from going poof. And it is not easy, Edgar said, leaning in. Most things are nearly impossible to find. Where would you look for a skate key? I cannot imagine, Jeremy replied. I found one, though. You think that is crazy? Well, you would not by any chance have a business card, would you? Jeremy handed one over, and Edgar placed it carefully into the machine. That was an easy one, he noted. Jeremy decided to stop pushing. He listened as Edgar told his story. He had been an engineer, wealthy and bored, until one day in the park, a voice spoke to him. It told him that in the heart of Big Ben, there was a pendulum that kept time for the world, and it was balanced by pennies. The voice told him that the world was noisy and chaotic, and it needed someone to make small, precise adjustments to keep it from going too far or even going poof. It is like the pennies for Big Ben, Edgar explained. The world is a funny place. Little wars here, big wars there, volcanoes going off, storms, tornadoes. A terrific amount of noise and bother. You have to build something that will keep the world from going too far. Jeremy felt a chill. Who do you think it is who is speaking to you? Well, sometimes I think it is God, and then I think no, God would have a deeper voice. Would you care for a prune, doctor? Jeremy declined and left, deeply unsettled. The idea that this man was managing the fate of the world was absurd, and yet, the coincidences were starting to mount. When he returned to Cynthia, he found her even more distraught. She had pressured Edgar to go into observation for 3 days. It has to be maintained, kept in balance, Edgar had argued, but Cynthia would not listen. Jeremy felt a pang of guilt. Mr. Witherspoon, you hear voices. That is not normal. You must understand that, Jeremy said during the evaluation. You hear voices too, Edgar countered. No, healthy people do not hear voices. You hear mine, do you not? That is not the same thing. Why? What is the difference between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice? Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. You do not understand the risk you are taking. Jeremy ignored him, believing it to be a delusion. But then it happened. The radio in the ward crackled to life with a news report. The tiny island of Tatoa had been destroyed by a tidal wave at exactly 3:17 in the afternoon. Jeremy's breath caught in his throat. That was the exact time Edgar had spoken of. He ran to the nurse's station, demanding to see the news reports from the previous week. He found reports of the earthquake in Santa Barbara. The timeline was perfect. Every time Edgar had claimed to be making an adjustment, a disaster had been averted or a catastrophic event had occurred elsewhere. He realized with a jolt of terror that he had miscalculated completely. He rushed back to Edgar. Mr. Witherspoon, he cried, bursting into the room. Edgar was gone. He had escaped. Jeremy realized the disaster was unfolding because Edgar was not at his machine. He drove to the apartment as fast as he could. He found the door open. Edgar was inside, packing. Mr. Witherspoon, I do not know how to begin to apologize, Jeremy said, breathless. Nothing in my training had prepared me for a case like yours. Well, nice meeting you, Edgar said, not stopping his work. Where are you going? Away, finally, after 11 years. But what about the machine? Jeremy gestured to the pile of junk. The voice spoke to me while I was in your hospital, Edgar said, turning to him. It said, Edgar, have you ever been to Miami? I said no, but I used to think it would be a nice place to retire. Go for it, the voice said. You are off duty. Jeremy looked at the machine. It looked quiet, dormant. You mean all this is not necessary anymore? Sure it is, Edgar said, patting the contraption. It is absolutely essential. The world still has to be kept in balance. Jeremy looked at the machine. So who is going to? Edgar smiled. And look, it needs adjusting already. That is it. Now, if I can just get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13. Jeremy stared. He understood then. The burden was not something one could walk away from. It was a duty that transcended medical degrees and scientific understanding. Edgar left, whistling a tune, headed for the sunny beaches of Florida. Jeremy stood in the silent apartment. He looked at the machine. It was ugly, ridiculous, and undeniably vital. He saw a gap where something needed to be placed. He sighed, looked at his watch, and realized he was late for a meeting. But he also realized that, for the first time in his life, he had something much more important to do. He began to look around. He needed a tambourine. He had no idea where to find one, but he knew he had to find it by the end of the day. He stepped out of the apartment, leaving his old, orderly life behind. He was a doctor, yes, but he was now a guardian, a maintainer of the delicate balance of the world. He started his search, knowing that if he failed, the world might go poof. But he also knew that he would not fail. He had learned from the best, and his education in the Twilight Zone had only just begun. The world was noisy and chaotic, but as long as he kept his eyes open, and as long as he listened for the voice, he would be ready to make the necessary adjustments. One piece of junk at a time. The transition was complete. Jealous of them. He pleaded with them to let him fix it, warning that it would take days to clean up the mess if they took him away, and begged the doctor to keep Cynthia away from the machine. Later at the clinic, Dr. Sinclair wrote in his files, noting the classic case of an aging man who, feeling tired and useless, created a typical delusion of grandeur to believe he was vital to the world's survival. Cynthia thanked the doctor, asking him to take good care of her uncle. As Dr. Sinclair sat in his office, the radio in the background played the afternoon news. The announcer reported on a Middle East stalemate and a Congressional Transportation Act. Then, the announcer reported that, in the South Pacific, the tiny island of Tatoa had been completely destroyed by a sudden tidal wave. The announcer promised details in an hour. Dr. Sinclair froze, his pen hovering over his paper. He asked himself if the broadcaster had just said Tatoa. He quickly dialed the local newspaper, asking to check on the news story about the tidal wave. He asked for the exact time the wave had hit. When the person on the other end gave him the answer, Dr. Sinclair was horrified. He called his assistant, Miss Walker, into the room and confirmed that Tatoa was indeed destroyed at exactly 3:17 that afternoon. Recognizing that Santa Barbara had been hit by an earthquake the previous week when Edgar was searching for the doll's head, Dr. Sinclair decided he could not take any chances. He realized that Mrs. Milligan, the landlady, would likely try to clean out Edgar's apartment and destroy the machine. He ordered Miss Walker to get Mr. Witherspoon released immediately and drive him home personally as fast as she could. Dr. Sinclair rushed to the apartment building and burst into apartment 4B. He found Mrs. Milligan standing near the machine with a trash bag. He screamed at her not to touch the thing, asking if she had moved anything yet. Mrs. Milligan, startled, said she had not touched it yet, but pointed out that the apartment was filled with garbage and she could not rent it out in this condition. Desperate, Dr. Sinclair offered to rent the apartment himself, offering double the rent she was currently receiving. He promised to bring a check later, and a confused Mrs. Milligan accepted and left. Just then, Edgar walked into the room, having escaped from the clinic before the official release papers were processed. Dr. Sinclair welcomed him back, asking if he had a handkerchief. Edgar handed him one, explaining that the nurse had dressed him so quickly he had left his own behind. Dr. Sinclair apologized profusely, admitting that nothing in his medical training had prepared him for a case like Edgar's. Edgar smiled but began packing a small suitcase, explaining that he was finally leaving after 11 years. The voice had spoken to him while he was in the hospital, asking if he had ever been to Miami. When Edgar replied that he had not but thought it would be a nice place to retire, the voice told him to go for it. Dr. Sinclair was panicked, asking what would happen to the machine. Edgar reassured him that the machine was still absolutely essential to keep the world in balance, but pointed out that it already needed adjusting. Edgar adjusted a small lever, noting that if someone could get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13, the immediate problem would be solved. He wished the doctor luck, warning him not to take any wooden nickels unless he really needed them, and walked out the door. Dr. Sinclair stood alone in the quiet apartment, staring at the massive, humming machine. He looked at his watch. It was already late. He shook his head, realizing the immense responsibility that had just been thrust upon him. He looked at the machine, then at the door, and then back at the machine. With a deep sigh, he realized he had to find a tambourine. He walked out to the hallway, frantically asking a passing tenant if they knew where he could find a tambourine right away. If in the coming months you notice a sudden rash of strange events or feel that things in the world are not quite in balance, remember that Edgar Witherspoon's successor is still learning how to make the necessary adjustments. With time and a lot of patience, the good doctor will master the delicate art of keeping our world from going poof. The office of Dr. Jeremy Sinclair was a sanctuary of order. It was a place where chaotic thoughts were straightened, where frayed nerves were smoothed into calm, and where the erratic patterns of the human mind were analyzed with the cold, unyielding precision of science. Jeremy took great pride in his work. He believed that everything in the world had a cause and an effect. If one sought hard enough, one could find the logic beneath the surface of any madness. That was until he met Edgar Witherspoon. The problem arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in the form of a woman named Mrs. Milligan. She was the landlady of a brownstone apartment complex, a woman who valued cleanliness and silence above all else. She sat in the chair across from Jeremy, wringing her hands with such intensity that her knuckles turned white. "Doctor, he is crazy," she said, her voice trembling. "That is what he is. A lunatic, a nutcase, a genuine wacko. My tenant, Uncle Edgar, is always looking for things." Jeremy adjusted his glasses and made a note on his clipboard. He asked her to elaborate, though he already suspected he was dealing with a standard case of eccentric behavior in a senior citizen. "He looks for things like 3 paper clips or a chrome coat hanger," she explained, "or 1 patent leather tap shoe. He rummages through trash cans. He goes to garbage dumps. He is always bothering my other tenants. One day it is bicycle spokes, then it is baseball cards. And who do the tenants complain to? Yours truly. He will not let anybody into his apartment. Not even his own niece. All that junk he is collecting, it is a fire trap. He could hurt himself. And other people. Namely me. He needs your help, doctor." She leaned forward, her eyes wide with desperation. "Yesterday he wanted a yo-yo. By 6 o'clock. And last week pieces of broken dolls. Heads, arms, legs. Please do something, doctor. Please, for his sake. And ours, of course. His bell does not work." Jeremy sighed internally. It was a common enough grievance. Isolation, hoarding, and bizarre fixations were often the symptoms of a mind trying to fill a void. He agreed to pay a visit, hoping that a simple psychiatric evaluation would settle the matter for the landlord and the niece. He arrived at the apartment building the following morning. The hallways were narrow and smelled of floor wax and faded memories. He found the door to the apartment, which had no working doorbell, and knocked firmly. When there was no answer, he called out, thinking he might find the man in the basement. "Ah, Mrs. Milligan," Jeremy said, spotting the landlady nearby. "I think he has disconnected it. Down there in the basement." "Oh, thank you." "Thanks anyway, Mr. Pilchick," the woman replied. Jeremy blinked. "You are not Mr. Pilchick. I am Dr. Jeremy Sinclair." "May I talk to you, Mr. Pilchick?" "Some other time, perhaps," the man replied, clutching a brass thimble in his hand. "I have to look for a doll head." Jeremy watched the man walk away. It was a scene he had witnessed many times before. One old man, living in a private world of irrational urgencies. To Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, it was an all too common sight. But Edgar Witherspoon was a most uncommon old man, and as the doctor would soon discover, he possessed a secret that reached out to the four corners of the earth. Jeremy found his way to the apartment, where he met the niece, Cynthia. She was a kind woman, clearly exhausted by the burden of caring for an uncle who lived on a different plane of existence. When Jeremy finally managed to secure a moment with Edgar, the old man was friendly, almost charmingly so, but entirely evasive. "Your niece, she worries about you," Jeremy said, trying to steer the conversation toward something concrete. "She is a very nice woman, so tell her not to worry." "See, a simple solution," Edgar said with a bright smile. "Thanks for coming. It has been a pleasure meeting you. But I have to get on with my work." "Your work? I bet you would like to know what it is, would you not?" Edgar asked, his eyes twinkling. "Yes," Jeremy admitted, caught off guard. "Wrong answer," Edgar chuckled. "You see a doll head here anywhere?" "You mean like that?" Jeremy pointed to a shelf. "Ah, too big," Edgar muttered. "Also brunette. I need blonde. And I need it in 5 minutes." "And what for?" Jeremy asked. His professional skepticism smiled warmly, dismissing the concern instantly. He told the doctor that his niece was a very nice woman, so she should be told not to worry. It was a simple solution, Edgar noted, thanking the doctor for coming and stating that it had been a pleasure meeting him, but he had to get on with his work. Dr. Sinclair was intrigued. He asked about this work, prompting Edgar to ask if the doctor would like to know what it was. When Dr. Sinclair answered in the affirmative, Edgar shook his head and told him it was the wrong answer. Edgar then looked around his cluttered entryway, asking if the doctor saw a doll's head anywhere. The doctor pointed to a plastic doll's head resting on a shelf, asking if he meant like that one. Edgar squinted at it, declaring it was too big and also brunette, whereas he specifically needed a blonde one. Furthermore, he needed it in 5 minutes. Dr. Sinclair, trying to understand the logic behind the request, asked what the doll's head was for. Edgar looked at him as if the answer were obvious, asking if the doctor wanted Santa Barbara to fall into the ocean. If not, Edgar advised him to stand aside. Suddenly, Edgar reached down, grabbed a small, precise piece of plastic, and fitted it into a massive, sprawling contraption of wires, tin cans, and old bicycle parts that filled the entire living room. He sighed with immense relief, shouting that it was just in the nick of time and that there was no time to lose. Realizing he might have seemed rude, Edgar apologized to the doctor, acknowledging that the man had come all this way to see him. Dr. Sinclair asked if he could come in, but Edgar politely declined, repeating that it had been a pleasure meeting him and asking him to tell Cynthia hello. With that, Edgar explained he had to excuse himself to stop the shaking in Santa Barbara. On the doctor's way out, Edgar handed him a small bag of trash, asking if he could dump it. Later that afternoon, Dr. Sinclair met with Cynthia in his office. He explained that his morning visit had not exactly been a long conversation, but it was long enough to realize that Edgar was indeed living in his own world. However, the doctor noted that Mr. Witherspoon appeared happy and relatively harmless. Cynthia strongly disagreed, arguing that her uncle was far from harmless. He pestered strangers on the street, ran after garbage trucks, and someone had recently seen him take a baby's bottle out of its carriage. She expressed deep fear that he would get arrested next time, declaring she would sign anything and cooperate in any way to get him help. Dr. Sinclair promised to have another, longer chat with him to see what he could do. During their conversation, the doctor momentarily thought he heard a strange humming sound, but dismissed it as nothing. He promised to call Cynthia as soon as he could. The next week, Dr. Sinclair returned to the apartment building. As he walked up the stairs, a nearby radio broadcast was discussing the impact of acid rain on northern lakes. He knocked on Edgar's door, but Edgar called out from inside, telling him to go away because he was not home. The doctor identified himself, reminding Edgar that he had been there last week. Edgar replied from behind the door that he had not been home last week either. Dr. Sinclair, losing patience, warned Edgar that he could legally force him to open the door. Edgar finally unlocked the door, calling the doctor a curious one. When the doctor asked if he meant odd, Edgar clarified that he meant nosy. Dr. Sinclair smiled, admitting he was paid to be nosy or curious. Edgar found this amusing, remarking that most people were curious for nothing and asking if the hours of his job were good. The doctor steered the conversation back to the clutter, asking why Edgar collected dolls' heads, shoes, and paper clips. Edgar joked that he simply could not afford Rembrandts. Suddenly, Edgar looked at his massive machine and gasped, realizing something was wrong. He apologized and asked the doctor not to call again. Dr. Sinclair warned him that the next time might not be so lovely, asking if Edgar would rather invite him in of his own free will. Edgar, looking desperate, relented and pulled the doctor inside, warning him to be very careful where he walked. Dr. Sinclair looked around the room in absolute awe. The apartment was filled from floor to ceiling with a chaotic yet strangely organized web of strings, pulleys, tin cans, light bulbs, and old household items. He asked what the machine was. Edgar explained with absolute seriousness that this was the only thing keeping the world from going. Poof! The doctor tried to clarify, asking if Edgar truly believed the structure kept the world from disappearing. Edgar confirmed this, adding that it was not an easy task because most of the required items were nearly impossible to find. He asked the doctor where one would even look for a skate key these days. Edgar, proud of his resourcefulness, mentioned he had found one anyway. He then asked the doctor if he happened to have a business card. Dr. Sinclair handed one over, and Edgar happily slotted it into a small gap between a rusty toaster and a metal rod, declaring it was an easy fix. Dr. Sinclair, preparing to leave, mentioned he had seen more than enough. Edgar began to share his history, explaining that he used to be an engineer who earned a lot of money before he retired. He called retirement the worst mistake he ever made because life became incredibly boring. And then he explained the voice spoke to him. Dr. Sinclair, taking a clinical interest, asked if Edgar heard voices. Edgar asked if the doctor heard them too, inviting him to share. Edgar recounted sitting in the park one day, feeding the pigeons, when the voice suddenly spoke. It asked if Edgar had ever been to England. When Edgar replied that he had not, the voice explained that in the heart of Big Ben, there was a pendulum that told the clock how fast to tick. At the bottom of that pendulum, on top of a big weight, there was a stack of pennies. Every so often, they would take one penny off to speed the clock up, or put one on to slow it down. The pennies changed the balance just a little, but enough to keep the whole mechanism running perfectly. Dr. Sinclair suggested that Edgar had built some kind of clock. Edgar laughed, asking why he would build a clock when he could buy one for $3 at any drugstore that would not lose 10 seconds in a year. The voice, Edgar explained, had told him that the world was a funny place with little wars here. Big wars there, volcanoes going off, storms, and tornadoes. It was a terrific amount of noise and bother, and Edgar needed to build something to keep the world from going too far, from going poof. What the pennies did for Big Ben, Edgar's machine did for the world. When the doctor asked who Edgar thought was speaking to him, Edgar admitted that sometimes he thought it was God, but other times he thought God would have a deeper voice. Edgar then offered the doctor a prune, which Dr. Sinclair politely declined, saying he was just leaving. Edgar warned him to be careful as he moved toward the door. Edgar admitted he had no idea how the machine actually worked. He only knew that the voice told him what it needed, and he went out to get it. Dr. Sinclair bid him goodbye, telling him to keep up the good work and suggesting they could call the machine a sculpture to make his niece happy. As the doctor opened the door, Edgar asked if the doctor happened to run across an old tuba to bring it by, as he needed it in 2 hours. A few days later, Dr. Sinclair and Cynthia arrived at the apartment with 2 orderly medical staff. They were there to commit Edgar to the hospital for observation. Edgar pleaded with Cynthia, asking her not to do this to him. Cynthia insisted it was just for 3 days while the doctors observed him. Edgar protested that 3 days was too long, because the machine had to be maintained and kept in perfect balance. Dr. Sinclair tried to reason with Edgar, explaining that hearing voices was not normal. Edgar pointed out that the doctor heard voices too. When the doctor argued that healthy people do not hear voices, Edgar asked what the difference was between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice. He suggested the truth was somewhere in the middle. Edgar warned them that they did not understand the risk they were taking. Suddenly, a loud snap echoed from the machine. Edgar gasped, declaring that Tatoa was gone. When Dr. Sinclair asked what Tatoa was, Edgar explained it was a tiny island in the South Pacific. He asked for the time, and the doctor replied it was 3:17. Edgar lamented that, at exactly 3:17 in the afternoon, Tatoa became history because we could call it a sculpture. Would that make my niece happy? What? Oh no. If you happen to run across an old tuba, would you bring it by? I need it in 2 hours. Cynthia, do not do this to me. Uncle Edgar, please. It is just for 3 days while they observe you. It is too long. It has to be maintained, kept in balance. Mr. Witherspoon, you hear voices. That is not normal. You must understand that. You hear voices, too. No, healthy people do not hear voices. You hear mine, do you not? That is not the same thing. Why? What is the difference between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice? Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. You do not understand the risk you are taking. I knew it. There goes Tatoa. What is Tatoa? A tiny island in the South Pacific. What time is it? 3:17? At 3:17 in the afternoon, Tatoa became history because of you. Please, weather is still time. It will take me days to clean up this junk. Keep her away from it. Remember Tatoa. Classic St. Coast. Tired, feeling useless, he created. Typical delusion of grandeur that he was vital to the world's survival. Poor Uncle Edgar. You will take good care of him, will you not? Mideast stalemate continues. Congress passes Transportation Act. And in the South Pacific, the tiny island of Tatoa is destroyed by a tidal wave. Details on this and all the news in an hour. Did he say Tatoa? Yes, the number for the Chronicle, please. Thank you. Hello, I want to check on a news story. I just heard something on the radio about a tidal wave destroying an island. Yes, that is it. Are there any details? 1,000. Really? When this afternoon? I mean, exactly what time? Thank you. Miss Walker. Yes, doctor. Tatoa was destroyed at 3:17 this afternoon. Is that bad? Last week, Santa Barbara was hit by an earthquake. I am not taking any chances. Oh my God, the landlady. She will destroy it. Santa Barbara? Get Mr. Witherspoon released immediately. Drive him home. You personally as fast as you can. Don't touch the thing. You did not, did you? You have not touched anything or moved anything. Not yet. Why? Because this is the creation of a disordered mind. And by studying it, analyzing it just exactly as he left it, I can come to a deeper insight into Mr. Witherspoon problem. He is a loony. What else do you have to know? No, 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 no. It is not that simple. I cannot rent this place with garbage in it. All right. I will rent it. You? Yes, yes. I will give you double what you are getting. I will be up later with the check. Thank you, Mrs. Mulligan. He has escaped. Excuse me, Mr. Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon. Should I call the cops? No, no, no. Everything is going to be fine. You got a handkerchief? Oh, yes. Yes, right away. Thanks. That lady had me dressed so fast. I left mine behind. Mr. Witherspoon, I do not know how to begin to apologize. Nothing in my training had prepared me for a case like yours. Well, nice meeting you. Where are you going? Away finally after 11 years. But what about tough? The voice spoke to me while I was in your hospital. It said, Edgar, have you ever been to Miami? I said no, but I used to think it would be a nice place to retire. Go for it, the voice said. You are off duty. You mean all this is not necessary anymore? Sure it is. It is absolutely essential. The world still has to be kept in balance. So who is going to? And look, it needs adjusting already. That is it. Now, if I can just get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13. Well, I guess we solved that little problem. I would get cracking if I was you. Impossible. I refuse. Jeremy, really, you will grow to like it. Give it a chance. So long. Do not take any wooden nickels. Unless you really need them, of course. Mr. Witherspoon. No, a tambourine. I have to find a tambourine right away. Can you help me? Do you know where I can find a tambourine? If in the next few months you notice that there has been a spate of catastrophes, or things are just not going right, remember that Edgar Witherspoon replacement is learning how to make some precise adjustments. Don't worry, his education will not last long, and then you will have a chance to make a difference. Perhaps you might give thanks to a physician whose practice extends to the well-being of the entire planet. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair offers a unique form of preventative medicine found only in the Twilight Zone. The morning sun filtered through the dusty windows of the brick apartment building, casting long, pale beams across the worn carpet of the hallway. Mrs. Milligan stood with her hands clamped tightly on her hips, her breath coming in short, irritated puffs as she stared at the door of apartment number 4B. She was a woman of formidable posture and even more formidable opinions, and at this exact moment, her opinions were entirely focused on the eccentric tenant living on the 4th floor. Her voice, sharp and carrying a lifetime of landlord grievances, echoed down the corridor as she laid out her complaints to anyone who would listen. He is crazy, she muttered to herself, her tone carrying the heavy weight of absolute certainty. That is exactly what he is, a loony, a nutcase, a genuine wacko. According to Mrs. Milligan, Uncle Edgar was always looking for things, and not just ordinary things that a normal person might lose around the house. He was forever on the hunt for items like 3 paper clips or a chrome coat hanger, or perhaps 1 patent leather tap shoe. He had no shame, rummaging through trash cans in broad daylight, and he regularly made trips to the local garbage dumps as if they were high-end department stores. His strange habits were not confined to public spaces either, as he was always bothering the other tenants in the building. One day he would be knocking on doors asking for bicycle spokes, and the next day it would be baseball cards. And who did the tenants complain to when their peace was disturbed? Yours truly, she thought, tapping her chest in self-pity. To make matters worse, he would not let anybody into his apartment, not even his own niece, Cynthia, who worried herself sick over him. All that junk he was collecting in there was a fire trap, a hazard to himself and to everyone else in the building, namely Mrs. Milligan herself. He needed professional help, and he needed it immediately. Only yesterday, he had been frantically searching for a yo-yo, insisting he had to find one by 6 o'clock in the evening. And the week before that, it was pieces of broken dolls, specifically heads, arms, and legs. Mrs. Milligan pleaded with the universe, asking for someone, anyone, to do something for his sake. And of course, for the sake of everyone else in the building. As she marched down to the basement to inspect the utility meters, she ran into Mr. Pilchick, the building super who was busy sorting through a toolbox. She complained to him that Uncle Edgar's doorbell did not work, to which Mr. Pilchick replied that he believed the old man had disconnected it down there in the basement. Mrs. Milligan sighed, thanking Mr. Pilchick anyway, and mentioned that she had already found a brass thimble which she had intended to give to Edgar. Just then, a tall, professional-looking gentleman stepped into the dim light of the basement. He introduced himself as Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, a psychiatrist who had been contacted by Edgar's worried niece. Mrs. Milligan looked at him with a mixture of relief and skepticism. Dr. Sinclair asked if he might talk to Mr. Pilchick, but the super quickly excused himself, saying he had to go look for a doll's head. Dr. Sinclair watched him walk away, shaking his head slightly. It was a familiar pattern for him, seeing an old man living in a private world of irrational urgencies. For a man of science like Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, it was an all-too-common sight, a simple case of late-stage eccentricity or mild dementia. But Edgar Witherspoon was a most uncommon old man, possessing a secret that reached out to the four corners of the earth. A secret that the good doctor was about to discover. Dr. Sinclair made his way up to the 4th floor and knocked on the door of apartment number 4B. When the door creaked open slightly, he saw a pair of bright, inquisitive eyes peering out at him. Edgar Witherspoon stood there, surrounded by a mountain of seemingly useless items. Dr. Sinclair introduced himself and explained that Edgar's niece, Cynthia, was very worried about him. Edgar, really? When this afternoon? I mean, exactly what time? Thank you, Miss Walker. Yes, Doctor. Tatoa was destroyed at 3:17 this afternoon. Is that bad? Last week, Santa Barbara was hit by an earthquake. I am not taking any chances. Oh my God, the landlady. She will destroy it. Santa Barbara? Get Mr. Witherspoon released immediately. Drive him home, you personally, as fast as you can. Do not touch the thing. You did not, did you? You have not touched anything or moved anything. Not yet. Why? Because this is the creation of a disordered mind. And by studying it, analyzing it just exactly as he left it, I can come to a deeper insight into Mr. Witherspoon's problem. He is a loony. What else do you have to know? No, 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 no. It is not that simple. I cannot rent this place with garbage in it. All right, I will rent it. You? Yes, yes. I will give you double what you are getting. I will be up later with the check. Thank you, Mrs. Mulligan. He has escaped. Excuse me, Mr. Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon. Should I call the cops? No, no, no. Everything is going to be fine. You got a handkerchief? Oh, yes. Yes, right away. Thanks. That lady had me dressed so fast. I left mine behind. Mr. Witherspoon, I do not know how to begin to apologize. Nothing in my training had prepared me for a case like yours. Well, nice meeting you. Where are you going? Away finally after 11 years. But what about tough? The voice spoke to me while I was in your hospital. It said, Edgar, have you ever been to Miami? I said no, but I used to think it would be a nice place to retire. Go for it, the voice said. You are off duty. You mean all this is not necessary anymore? Sure it is. It is absolutely essential. The world still has to be kept in balance. So who is going to? And look, it needs adjusting already. That is it. Now, if I can just get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13. Well, I guess we solved that little problem. I would get cracking if I were you. Impossible. I refuse. Jeremy, really, you will grow to like it. Give it a chance. So long. Do not take any wooden nickels. Unless you really need them, of course. The doctor stood alone in the apartment, surrounded by the cacophony of the universe compressed into physical form. Mr. Witherspoon. No, a tambourine. I have to find a tambourine right away. Can you help me? Do you know where I can find a tambourine? If in the next few months you notice that there has been a spate of catastrophes, or things are just not going right, remember that Edgar Witherspoon's replacement is learning how to make some precise adjustments. Do not worry. His education will not last long. And then you will have a chance to make a difference. Perhaps you might give thanks to a physician whose practice extends to the well-being of the entire planet. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair offers a unique form of preventative medicine found only in the Twilight Zone. The doctor looked at the pile of junk, then at his watch. He sighed, a soft, resigned sound. He stepped toward the collection of objects, his hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the sudden, overwhelming realization of his responsibility. He began to look for a tambourine, the weight of the world resting on his shoulders, one piece of scrap at a time. The absurdity of it was overshadowed only by the necessity of the task. He picked up a piece of string and a rusted gear, wondering, in the deepest recesses of his mind, if perhaps, just perhaps, the voice would speak to him next. And if it did, would he be ready? He hoped so. He had to be. For the sake of Santa Barbara and Tatoa, and every other place on the map that he had never visited, but now, somehow, felt he was protecting. The room felt larger now, or perhaps it was just that his perception had expanded, taking in the grand, invisible machinery that Edgar had so carefully curated. He walked to the window, looking out at the city, the people below moving like ants, unaware of the delicate balance being maintained by a doctor in a cluttered room on the second floor. He took a deep breath, adjusted his glasses, and went back to the task of finding the tambourine. It was a strange life he had stumbled into, but as he looked at the mechanical wonder before him, he could not deny the profound sense of purpose that had settled into his bones. The doctor was in, and the world, it seemed, was in good, if slightly eccentric, hands. He is crazy. That is what he is. A lunatic. A nutcase. A genuine wacko. Mrs. Milligan paced the small, beige office of Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, her hands wringing a damp handkerchief. Uncle Edgar is always looking for things, she insisted, her voice rising in frustration. Things like 3 paper clips or a chrome coat hanger, or 1 patent leather tap shoe. He rummages through trash cans. He goes to garbage dumps. He is always bothering my other tenants. One day it is bicycle spokes. Then it is baseball cards. And who do the tenants complain to? Yours truly. He will not let anybody into his apartment. Not even his own niece. All that junk he is collecting, it is a fire trap. He could hurt himself. And other people. Namely me. He needs your help. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair leaned back in his leather chair, observing the woman with clinical interest. He had heard many tales of eccentricity, but the intensity of her concern was palpable. Yesterday, she continued, he wanted a yo-yo by 6 o'clock in the evening. And last week, he requested pieces of broken dolls. Heads, arms, legs. Please do something, doctor. Please, for his sake. And ours, of course. His bell does not work. Ah, Mrs. Milligan. I think he has disconnected it. Down there, in the basement, the doctor noted, rising from his desk to offer a reassuring nod. Oh, thank you. Thanks anyway, Mr. Pilchick. But I already found a brass thimble. A voice drifted from the doorway, startling them both. The man standing there was not Mr. Pilchick. I am Dr. Jeremy Sinclair. May I talk to you, Mr. Witherspoon? Some other time, perhaps. I have to look for a doll head, the old man replied, his eyes scanning the floor as if searching for something invisible. He stood there, one old man in a private world of irrational urgencies. For Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, it was an all too common sight. But Edgar Witherspoon was a most uncommon old man, possessing a secret that reached out to the 4 corners of the earth. As the good doctor was about to discover. Your niece, she worries about you, Dr. Sinclair began, stepping forward. She is a very nice woman, so tell her not to worry. See, a simple solution. Thanks for coming. It has been a pleasure meeting you, Edgar said, turning away. But I have to get on with my work. Your work? I bet you would like to know what it is, would you not? Yes, Edgar posed, his eyes twinkling. Wrong answer. You see a doll head here anywhere? You mean like that? The doctor pointed to a shelf. Ah, too big. Also brunette. I need blonde. And I need it in 5 minutes. And what for? You want Santa Barbara to fall into the ocean? Then stand aside, sir. Stand aside. The old man scurried about the room with surprising agility. Woohoo! Just in the nick of time. No time to lose. Mr. Witherspoon, the doctor called out, trying to keep pace. I am sorry. I should not be rude. You have come all this way to see me. Mais come in? And it was so nice. A pleasure meeting you. Tell my niece hello. Now, if you will excuse me, I have to stop the shaking in Santa Barbara. Mr. Witherspoon, on your way out, could you dump this? Good afternoon, Doctor. Later that same day, Dr. Sinclair stood on the sidewalk with Mrs. Milligan. Did you see Uncle Edgar? She asked breathlessly. Yes, this morning, the doctor replied. Well, I could not exactly call it a long conversation, but long enough to realize that he is. Absolutely, she agreed. On the other hand, Mr. Witherspoon appears happy and, like, harmless, the doctor mused, though he felt a seed of doubt growing. Harmless? He pesters strangers on the street. He runs after garbage trucks. That is far from harmless. Somebody saw him take a baby bottle out of its carriage. I am afraid he will get arrested next time. Doctor, I will sign anything. Cooperate in any way. All right, maybe I will have I think he has disconnected it. Down there in the basement. The man turned, his eyes twinkling with a brightness that suggested he was not looking at the pipes or the furnace, but at something far more celestial. Oh, thank you. Thanks anyway, Mr. Pilchick. But I already found a brass thimble. The doctor stepped forward, offering a polite smile. You are not Mr. Pilchick. I am Dr. Jeremy Sinclair. May I talk to you, Mr. Pilchick? The man blinked, looking at the doctor as if he were a minor distraction in a grand opera. Some other time, perhaps. I have to look for a doll's head. The doctor watched the old man scurry away. One old man, in a private world of irrational urgencies. For Dr. Jeremy Sinclair, an all too common sight. But Edgar Witherspoon was a most uncommon old man, with a secret that reaches out to the four corners of the earth. As the good doctor is about to discover, the doctor eventually found his way to the apartment of Edgar Witherspoon. The door was opened with a cautious creak. Your niece, she worries about you. She is a very nice woman, so tell her not to worry. See, a simple solution. Thanks for coming. It has been a pleasure meeting you. But I have to get on with my work. Your work? I bet you would like to know what it is, would you not? Yes. Wrong answer. You see a doll's head here anywhere? You mean like that? Ah, too big. Also brunette. I need blonde. And I need it in 5 minutes. And what for? You want Santa Barbara to fall into the ocean? Then stand aside, sir. Stand aside. The doctor watched, bewildered, as the man moved with a grace that belied his age. He was a conductor of chaos, orchestrating the placement of objects with an intensity that bordered on the religious. Woohoo! Just in the nick of time. No time to lose. Mr. Witherspoon, I am sorry. I should not be rude. You have come all this way to see me. Mais come in? And it was so nice. A pleasure meeting you. Tell my niece hello. Now, if you will excuse me, I have got to stop the shaking in Santa Barbara. The doctor stood there, his mind reeling. He was witnessing a man who believed he was holding the world together with scrap metal and plastic. Mr. Witherspoon, on your way out, could you dump this? Good afternoon, doctor. The doctor retreated, finding Mrs. Milligan waiting for him, eager for a verdict. Did you see Uncle Edgar? Yes, this morning. Well, I could not exactly call it a long conversation, but long enough to realize that he is. Absolutely. On the other hand, Mr. Witherspoon appears happy and, like, harmless. Harmless? He pesters strangers on the street. He runs after garbage trucks. That is far from harmless. Somebody saw him take a baby's bottle out of its carriage. I am afraid he will get arrested next time. Doctor, I will sign anything. Cooperate in any way. All right, maybe I will have another chat with him. A longer one. See if Did you hear that? What? There was something about Sorry, it was nothing. I do not know what I was thinking. I will call you. As soon as I can. The doctor returned to his office, but the image of Edgar Witherspoon haunted him. He returned to the apartment a week later, determined to solve the riddle. Activity could be a problem. Acid rain is affecting the northern lakes even more than scientists. Mr. Witherspoon, go away. I am not home. It is Dr. Sinclair. I was here last week. You remember? Sorry, I was not home last week either. Mr. Witherspoon, I could legally force you to open this door to me. Is that what you want? You are a curious one. Odd, you mean? I mean nosy. I am paid to be nosy. Curious, I mean, really? Do you not think that is odd? Most people are curious for nothing. That is very nice for you. Are the hours good? Mr. Witherspoon, why do you collect dolls' heads, shoes, paper clips? I cannot afford Rembrandts. What? Oh no. Oh no. As usual, it has been lovely. Please do not call again. I may have to. The next time it might not be so lovely, you understand what I mean, Mr. Witherspoon. Wouldn't you rather invite me in of your own free will? You must. You must. Be very, very careful where you walk. The doctor entered the apartment. It was a labyrinth of treasures. He saw things that defied categorization. How is it, Cloushade? It is very interesting, Mr. Witherspoon. What is it? This? Yes. This is the only thing that keeps the world from going poof. Now, let me understand you clearly, Mr. Witherspoon. You say that this is what keeps the world from going poof. And it is not easy. Most things are nearly impossible to find. Where would you look for a skate key? Oh, I cannot imagine. I found one, though. You think that is crazy? Well, you would not by any chance have a business card, would you? Oh yes, of course. That was an easy one. Well, I will not take up any more of your time. I have seen more than enough. The doctor sat down, the weight of the man's sincerity pressing upon him. I used to be an engineer, earned lots of money. Then I retired. Worst mistake I ever made. Life was so damned boring. And then the voice spoke to me. Oh, you also hear voices. You too? Please tell me about it. I was sitting in the park one day, feeding the pigeons, and suddenly, there it was. The voice. Edgar, it said. Have you ever been to England? Oh yes, why? No, that is what the voice asked me. Edgar, it said. In the heart of Big Ben, there is a pendulum that tells the clock how fast to tick. At the bottom of the pendulum, on top of the big weight, there is a stack of pennies. Every so often, they take one off. The clock speeds up, or they put one on. The clock slows down. The pennies change the balance just a little, but enough to keep the whole mechanism running perfectly. So what you have here is some kind of clock. Of course not. Why would I build a clock? $3, any drugstore, does not lose 10 seconds in a year. Anyway, the voice said, Edgar, the world is a funny place. Little wars here, big wars there, volcanoes going off, storms, tornadoes, a terrific amount of noise and bother. You have to build something that will keep the world from going too far, maybe even going poof. What the pennies do for Big Ben, this does for the world. Who do you think it is who is speaking to you? Well, sometimes I think it is God, and then I think, no, God would have a deeper voice. Would you care for a prune, doctor? Oh no, thank you. I was just leaving. But you have just arrived. Oh, careful. I have no idea how the thing works. All I know is that the voice tells me what it needs, and I get it. Goodbye, Mr. Witherspoon. You keep up the good work. We could call it a sculpture. Would that make my niece happy? What? Oh no. If you happen to run across an old tuba, would you bring it by? I need it in 2 hours. The doctor left, his skepticism eroding. But the concern of the niece was undeniable. Cynthia, do not do this to me. Uncle Edgar, please. It is just for 3 days while they observe you. It is too long. It has to be maintained, kept in balance. Mr. Witherspoon, you hear voices. That is not normal. You must understand that. You hear voices, too. No, healthy people do not hear voices. You hear mine, do you not? That is not the same thing. Why? What is the difference between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice? Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. You do not understand the risk you are taking. I knew it. There goes Tatoa. What is Tatoa? A tiny island in the South Pacific. What time is it? 3:17? At 3:17 in the afternoon, Tatoa became history because of you. Please, weather is still time. It will take me days to clean up this junk. Keep her away from it. Remember Tatoa. Classic Sant Coast. Tired, feeling useless, he created. Typical delusion of grandeur that he was vital to the world's survival. Poor Uncle Edgar. You will take good care of him, will you not? The doctor watched the news that night, the hum of the television filling the silence. Mideast stalemate continues. Congress passes Transportation Act. And in the South Pacific, the tiny island of Tatoa is destroyed by a tidal wave. Details on this and all the news in an hour. Did he say Tatoa? Yes, the number for the Chronicle, please. Thank you. Hello, I want to check on a news story. I just heard something on the radio about a tidal wave destroying an island. Yes, that is it. Are there any details? 1,000 holders. He reached out to touch a gear, then pulled his hand back, fearful of disrupting the delicate equilibrium. He was a man of science, a man of logic, yet here he was staring at a collection of junk that had, by all accounts, prevented a disaster in Santa Barbara and failed to prevent one in Tatoa. The irony was not lost on him. He had spent years trying to cure patients of their delusions, only to find that perhaps the most delusional person in the room was himself, for failing to see the reality that stood before him. He paced the floor, his footsteps echoing in the cramped apartment. He needed a tambourine. The voice had said so, but where did one find a tambourine on such short notice? He looked at the calendar on the wall. 7:13. He had time, but not much. The pressure was mounting, not just from the machine, but from the realization that his life was no longer his own. He was the guardian now, the reluctant keeper of the balance. He thought of his office, his patients, his peaceful, ordered life. Felt like a lifetime ago. Now he was a scavenger, hunting for the tools of a trade he did not understand, for a master he had yet to hear. He picked up a stray baseball card from the floor and placed it carefully on a shelf. Felt right somehow. The room was no longer a fire trap of junk. It was a sanctuary of cosmic maintenance. He felt a sense of purpose he had never known in his clinical practice. It was not about curing the mind. It was about preserving the world. He understood now why Edgar had been so happy, so content in his eccentricity. He was doing something that mattered, something that transcended the petty concerns of daily life. The doctor sat in the chair that Edgar had occupied for so long. He looked at the machine, really looked at it this time. It was a masterpiece of improvisation, a testament to the idea that anything, no matter how trivial, could be the key to the survival of the planet. He began to see the patterns in the chaos. The way a yo-yo balanced a lever, the way a coat hanger held a pendulum in place. It was poetry in motion, a symphony of the mundane. He closed his eyes and tried to listen. He tried to hear the voice that Edgar had heard. At first, there was only the sound of his own breathing, the ticking of a clock, the muffled noise of the city outside. But then it shifted. He felt a vibration in the air, a hum that resonated deep within his bones. Edgar, the voice seemed to whisper, though it was not his name. Keep the balance. Do not let it waver. The weight of it was immense, yet it was also strangely comforting. He was no longer just a doctor, he was a participant in the grand design. He stood up and began to search the room again, not with the eyes of a skeptic, but with the eyes of an engineer. He found a piece of wire that looked promising. He found a small, discarded battery. He felt the familiar surge of adrenaline, the excitement of discovery. He was learning. He was becoming the person he was meant to be. The world outside continued on its course, indifferent to the struggle taking place within the four walls of the apartment. People went to work, children played, wars were fought, and leaders made decisions that would shape the future. None of them knew that their fate rested on the shoulders of a man who, only days before, had been worried about the reputation of his medical practice. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair looked at the tambourine he had finally managed to acquire, scavenged from a local pawn shop. It was not a particularly nice tambourine, but it was exactly what was needed. He placed it in the slot indicated by the machine. The hum deepened, grew more harmonious. The needle on a nearby gauge steadied. He had done it. He had made the adjustment. A smile spread across his face, a smile that was genuine, free of the cynicism that had marked his previous life. He had found his place in the world, and it was a place of quiet, necessary work. He would continue this for as long as he had to, for as long as the voice guided him. And perhaps one day he would find someone else, someone as skeptical and lost as he had been, to take his place. But for now, the world was safe, the balance was held, and the doctor was content. He looked out the window at the setting sun, watching the colors paint the sky, and for the first time in his life, he truly understood the beauty of the world he was helping to save. The end, but yet the connections were endless, and he was the one holding the threads. He was the weaver, the maintainer, the silent hero of a world that would never know his name. And that was enough. It was more than enough. The machine pulsed softly in the twilight, a steady, rhythmic beating of a heart that kept the planet alive. The doctor sat back, listening to the music of the universe, and began his work. He picked up a paper clip, examined it with the focus of a jeweler, and began to look for the next place where it might be needed. The end, but yet the cycle continued, and he was no longer afraid of it. He embraced it. He was Edgar Witherspoon's successor, and he would not fail. The end, but yet he turned back to the machine, ready for the next instruction, ready for the next challenge, ready to do his part in the grand, chaotic, wonderful game of keeping the world from going poof. He realized that the chaos was not something to be feared, but something to be managed, something to be celebrated. The end, but yet he picked up the next item on his list, a small silver thimble, and began the process again. The end, but yet the story of the world continued, written in the language of the things we throw away and the people who have the courage to pick them up. The end, but yet he was happy. The end, but yet he was at peace. The end, but yet he was doing the work, and that is all that mattered. The end, but yet the sun set completely and the stars came out, silent witnesses to the quiet miracle unfolding in a small apartment in the city. The end, but yet the doctor worked on through the night, a silent guardian in the vast, swirling, beautiful, fragile, and absolutely essential Twilight Zone. The office of Dr. Jeremy Sinclair was a sanctuary of sterile organization, a stark contrast to the chaotic world outside the window. Books were aligned with mathematical precision on the mahogany shelves, and his desk was devoid of anything save for a fountain pen and a leather-bound notebook. Yet, sitting across from him was a woman whose distress seemed to threaten the very geometry of the room. Mrs. Milligan was a woman of substantial presence, and at this moment, she was vibrating with indignation. He is crazy. That is what he is. A loony, a nutcase, a genuine wacko. Uncle Edgar is always looking for things. Dr. Sinclair leaned back, clasping his hands together, his expression one of professional concern, though a flicker of amusement danced in his eyes. He had heard many tales of eccentricity, but Mrs. Milligan was painting a portrait of a man who belonged in a different century. Things like 3 paper clips or a chrome coat hanger, or 1 patent leather tap shoe. He rummages through trash cans. He goes to garbage dumps. He is always bothering my other tenants. One day it is bicycle spokes, then it is baseball cards. And who do the tenants complain to? Yours truly. He will not let anybody into his apartment, not even his own niece. All that junk he is collecting, it is a fire trap. He could hurt himself, and other people, namely me. He needs your help. Jeremy nodded, making a note in his ledger. The plight of the landlord was a classic one, often involving the clash between personal freedom and communal harmony. Yesterday he wanted a yo-yo. By 6 o'clock, And last week, pieces of broken dolls. Heads, arms, legs. Please do something, doctor. Please, for his sake. And ours, of course. His bell does not work. The doctor stood up, smoothing his coat. He was a man of science, a man who believed in the order of things, yet he felt a strange prickle of curiosity. He decided that a house call was in order. He would descend into the world of this Uncle Edgar and see for himself the nature of this madness. He arrived at the apartment building, a structure that seemed to sigh under the weight of its own history. He found the basement entrance, the dark cavern where the infrastructure of the building lay exposed. There, he encountered the man Mrs. Milligan had complained about. Ah, Mrs. Milligan. What is it? Sinclair asked, stunned. This? Yes. This is the only thing that keeps the world from going poof, Edgar explained, patting the machine. Now, let me understand you clearly, Mr. Witherspoon. You say that this is what keeps the world from going poof. And it is not easy. Most things are nearly impossible to find. Where would you look for a skate key? Oh, I cannot imagine, Sinclair admitted. I found one, though. You think that is crazy? Well, you would not by any chance have a business card, would you? Oh yes, of course, Edgar said, rummaging through a box. That was an easy one. Well, I will not take up any more of your time. I have seen more than enough, Sinclair said, feeling a sense of dread. I used to be an engineer, Edgar said, staring out the window. Earned lots of money. Then I retired. Worst mistake I ever made. Life was so damned boring. And then the voice spoke to me. Oh, you also hear voices? Sinclair asked, his professional interest sparking again. You too? Please tell me about it. I was sitting in the park one day, feeding the pigeons, and suddenly, there it was. The voice. Edgar, it said. Have you ever been to England? Oh yes, why? No, that is what the voice asked me. Edgar, it said. In the heart of Big Ben, there is a pendulum that tells the clock how fast to tick. At the bottom of the pendulum, on top of the big weight, there is a stack of pennies. Every so often, they take one off. The clock speeds up. Or they put one on. The clock slows down. The pennies change the balance just a little, but enough to keep the whole mechanism running perfectly. So what you have here is some kind of clock? Sinclair asked. Of course not, Edgar replied. Why would I build a clock? $3 any drugstore does not lose 10 seconds in a year. Anyway, the voice said, Edgar, the world is a funny place. Little wars here, big wars there, volcanoes going off, storms, tornadoes, a terrific amount of noise and bother. You have to build something that will keep the world from going too far, maybe even going poof. What the pennies do for Big Ben, this does for the world. Who do you think it is who is speaking to you? Sinclair asked. Well, sometimes I think it is God, and then I think no, God would have a deeper voice. Would you care for a prune, doctor? Edgar asked, offering a bowl. Oh no, thank you. I was just leaving, Sinclair said, backing away. But you have just arrived, Edgar noted. Oh, careful. I have no idea how the thing works. All I know is that the voice tells me what it needs, and I get it. Goodbye, Mr. Witherspoon, Sinclair said, turning to leave. You keep up the good work. We could call it a sculpture. Would that make my niece happy? What? Oh no. If you happen to run across an old tuba, would you bring it by? I need it in 2 hours, Edgar requested. Cynthia, do not do this to me, the niece complained as she walked in. Uncle Edgar, please. It is just for 3 days while they observe you. It is too long. It has to be maintained, kept in balance, Edgar insisted. Mr. Witherspoon, you hear voices. That is not normal. You must understand that, Sinclair said, trying to be firm. You hear voices too, Edgar countered. No, healthy people do not hear voices, Sinclair stated. You hear mine, do you not? That is not the same thing, Sinclair replied. Why? What is the difference between a sane man hearing a crazy voice and a crazy man hearing a sane voice? Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. You do not understand the risk you are taking, Edgar said solemnly. I knew it. There goes Tatoa. What is Tatoa? Sinclair asked. A tiny island in the South Pacific, Edgar answered. What time is it? 3:17? At 3:17 in the afternoon, Tatoa became history because of you, Edgar said, pointing to the machine. Please, weather is still time. It will take me days to clean up this junk. Keep her away from it, Edgar muttered. Remember Tatoa, classic Sant Coast. Tired, feeling useless, he created. Typical delusion of grandeur that he was vital to the world's survival. Poor Uncle Edgar. You will take good care of him, will you not? The niece asked. Mideast stalemate continues, the radio announced. Congress passes Transportation Act. And in the South Pacific, the tiny island of Tatoa is destroyed by a tidal wave. Details on this and all the news in an hour, the radio continued. Did he say Tatoa? Sinclair asked, his face going pale. Yes, the number for the Chronicle, please. Thank you. Hello, I want to check on a news story. I just heard something on the radio about a tidal wave destroying an island. Yes, that is it. Are there any details? 1,000. Really? When this afternoon? I mean, exactly what time? Thank you, Sinclair said, hanging up the phone. Miss Walker. Yes. Doctor? Tatoa was destroyed at 3:17 this afternoon, Sinclair said, his voice trembling. Is that bad? She asked. Last week, Santa Barbara was hit by an earthquake. I am not taking any chances. Oh my God, the landlady. She will destroy it. Santa Barbara? Get Mr. Witherspoon released immediately. Drive him home. You personally as fast as you can. Do not touch the thing. You did not, did you? You have not touched anything or moved anything, he asked his assistant. Not yet, she replied. Why? Because this is the creation of a disordered mind. And by studying it, analyzing it just exactly as he left it, I can come to a deeper insight into Mr. Witherspoon's problem. He is a loony. What else do you have to know? No, 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 no. It is not that simple, Sinclair said. I cannot rent this place with garbage in it, the landlady complained. All right, I will rent it. You? Yes, yes. I will give you double what you are getting. I will be up later with the check. Thank you, Mrs. Mulligan, Sinclair said, desperate to preserve the apartment. He has escaped, Sinclair realized, rushing back to the room. Excuse me, Mr. Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon, should I call the cops? The landlady asked. No, no, no. Everything is going to be fine. You got a handkerchief? Yes, yes, right away, she said. Thanks. That lady had me dressed so fast. I left mine behind, Edgar said, looking sheepish. Mr. Witherspoon, I do not know how to begin to apologize. Nothing in my training had prepared me for a case like yours, Sinclair admitted. Well, nice meeting you, Edgar said. Where are you going? Away, finally, after 11 years, Edgar replied. But what about the work? The voice spoke to me while I was in your hospital. It said, Edgar, have you ever been to Miami? I said no, but I used to think it would be a nice place to retire. Go for it, the voice said. You are off duty, Edgar said to Sinclair. You mean all this is not necessary anymore? Sinclair asked. Sure it is. It is absolutely essential. The world still has to be kept in balance, Edgar said. So who is going to? Sinclair started. And look, it needs adjusting already, Edgar said, pointing to the machine. That is it. Now, if I can just get a ping-pong ball in there by 7:13. Well, I guess we solved that little problem. I would get cracking if I was you, Edgar said, patting Sinclair on the shoulder. Impossible. I refuse, Sinclair declared. Jeremy, really, you will grow to like it. Give it a chance, Edgar said, walking away. So long. Do not take any wooden nickels. Unless you really need them, of course, Edgar added with a wink. Mr. Witherspoon, Sinclair called out. No, he was gone. A tambourine. I have to find a tambourine right away, Sinclair muttered to himself, looking at the machine. Can you help me? Do you know where I can find a tambourine? If in the next few months you notice that there has been a spate of catastrophes, or things are just not going right, remember that Edgar Witherspoon's replacement is learning how to make some precise adjustments. Do not worry. His education will not last long. And then you will have a chance to make a difference. Perhaps you might give thanks to a physician whose practice extends to the well-being of the entire planet. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair offers a unique form of preventative medicine found only in the Twilight Zone. The silence in the room was heavy, save for the hum of the machine, which seemed to be waiting for the next component. Dr. Sinclair stood there, surrounded by the remnants of a life's work, the strange collection of paper clips, doll heads, and other odds and ends that apparently held the stability of the world together. He felt the weight of the universe pressing down on his shoulder and crisp. He took a deep breath, looking up at the stars. He knew that somewhere, in the vast expanse of the cosmos, the world was holding its breath, waiting for the next adjustment. He walked toward the garbage dump, a place that others avoided, but that he now viewed with a sense of reverence. It was a repository of the world's forgotten pieces, waiting for someone to give them purpose. He began to search, his eyes scanning the piles of debris with a practiced focus. He looked for copper, for glass, for anything that might ring with the right frequency. He was a seeker, a collector, a guardian. He found a coil of copper wire. He smiled. It was exactly what he needed. He tucked it into his pocket and turned back toward the apartment. The night was young, and the world was in his care. He thought of the words of the voice. "Edgar, the world is a funny place." He agreed. It was funny, it was strange, it was beautiful, and it was fragile. And he would do everything in his power to keep it from going poof. He returned to his room, locked the door, and set to work. He threaded the wire through the mechanism, watching as the tension of the system adjusted. He felt the shift, a subtle change in the air, a sense of relief that seemed to ripple out from the apartment. He sat down, exhausted but content. The world was safe for another day. He watched the sunrise, the first light of dawn painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. It was a beautiful sight, a reminder of the cycle that he was helping to maintain. He made himself another cup of tea. He felt a deep sense of connection to the planet, to the people, to the very air he breathed. He knew he was part of something much larger than himself, something that spanned generations and continents. He opened his journal to a new page. He did not write about symptoms or treatments. He wrote about the way the light hit the copper, and about the way the world felt in the quiet moments before the dawn. He realized that his practice had truly extended to the well-being of the entire planet. He was a doctor of a different sort, a physician of the atmosphere, a surgeon of the social fabric. He heard the birds beginning to sing. It was a simple sound, but it felt like a chorus of gratitude. He smiled, closed his journal, and prepared to rest. He had earned it. The city began to wake up. The sounds of traffic, the hum of electricity, the voices of people going about their day, it was the music of a world in motion. And he, in his small apartment, was the conductor. He closed his eyes, lulled by the familiar ticking of his machine. He felt at peace. He was where he was meant to be, doing what he was meant to do. The journey had been unexpected, but it had been the most important journey of his life. He drifted off to sleep, confident in the knowledge that when he woke, the world would still be there, balanced and whole, held together by the careful, loving work of a man who had once been a doctor, and who had discovered that the only real cure for a broken world is to care for it, one piece at a time. The days continued in this rhythm. He found that the more he gave himself to the work, the more the world seemed to respond. It was a dance of effort and outcome, a continuous conversation between his actions and the state of the planet. He became more efficient. He learned which items were needed for which kinds of issues. A piece of twine could soothe a brewing storm. A broken mirror could prevent a diplomatic incident. It was not science in the conventional sense, but it was a system of logic that he was slowly mastering. He even began to receive messages of a sort, not from a booming voice but from the world itself. He would find himself drawn to a specific part of the city, only to discover a need he had not yet sensed. It was as if the world were guiding him, teaching him its needs. He saw the impact of his work in the faces of the people he encountered. They seemed less stressed, more open to kindness. He knew it was partly due to the subtle adjustments he made, which acted like a gentle nudge toward balance in all things. He stopped feeling like an outsider. He was part of the fabric of the city, a quiet, unseen influence that helped keep the wheels turning. He was no longer just the doctor. He was the watcher, the keeper, the guardian. His niece, Cynthia, visited him often. She no longer worried about him. She brought him gifts, not of money or food, but of objects she thought he might need. A box of old buttons, a collection of vintage keys, a jar of odd-shaped marbles. He accepted them with grace. He taught her how to look at the world, not as a collection of things to be used and discarded, but as a repository of potential. She learned to see the beauty in the broken, the value in the forgotten. He realized that he was passing on his knowledge, that he was training a successor. It was a comforting thought. He did not know how long he would be able to do this work, but he knew that when the time came, the balance would be maintained. One day he felt a particularly strong pull. It was not coming from the machine but from outside, from the streets themselves. He knew he had to leave the apartment. He grabbed his coat, his journal, and a bag of supplies. He walked through the city, following an intuition he had come to trust implicitly. He found himself in a park, sitting on a bench near a playground. He watched the children playing, their laughter a bright, clear sound that cut through the noise of the city. He saw a young boy crying because his kite had gotten stuck in a tree. He walked over, retrieved the kite, and handed it back to the child. The boy smiled, a look of pure, unadulterated joy that lit up his face. The doctor felt a surge of warmth. It was a small thing, a simple act of kindness, but he knew it was part of the balance. The kite flying high, the child laughing, these were the things that made the world worth saving. He sat back on the bench, watching the kite soar. He realized that the work was not just about the machine in his apartment. It was about the moments of connection and joy that he helped to facilitate. He returned to the apartment, feeling a sense of renewed purpose. He was not just maintaining the world, he was nurturing it. He was a gardener of the soul, a steward of the human experience. He sat down at his machine. He did not feel the need to make any adjustments. The machine was humming, a steady, rhythmic sound that told him everything was in order. He opened his journal. He wrote about the kite, about the boy's smile, and about the importance of simple, human moments in the grand scheme of things. He looked at his reflection in the window. He was a different man than he had been when he first met Edgar Witherspoon. He was older, perhaps, but his eyes were clearer, his spirit more settled. He realized that he was happy. Not the frantic, searching happiness of his previous life, but a deep, resonant peace that came from knowing he was exactly where he was supposed to be. He turned off the lamp and sat in the darkness, listening to the world breathe. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new needs, new objects to find. And he would be ready. He closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the world, the slow, steady heartbeat of a planet that was balanced, whole, and alive. He drifted into sleep, knowing that the work was never finished, but that it was always worth doing. And so, the doctor continued his life, a life of quiet service, a life of unseen adjustments, a life lived in the service of the world. He was a sentinel, a guardian, a doctor of the unseen. He was happy. He was whole. And in his own way, he was a hero, for he knew that the most important things in life are often the ones we cannot see, and that a single paper clip, placed with care, can truly make all the difference. The years passed, and he grew older, but his commitment never wavered. He became a legend of sorts, though he never sought the spotlight. He was known as the man who understood the rhythm of the city, the man who was always there when things seemed to be on the brink of falling apart. He had built a network, a small group of people who understood the importance of the work. They were not all collectors, but they were all aware of the delicate balance that held their lives together. He knew that he was not alone. There were others like him, scattered across the globe, each tending to their own part of the world, each making their own adjustments, each keeping their own corner of reality from going poof. He felt a kinship with them, a bond that crossed borders and languages. They were the silent guardians of the world, the unsung heroes who kept the peace in the most. Do not worry, his education will not last long. And then you will have a chance to make a difference. Perhaps you might give thanks to a physician whose practice extends to the well-being of the entire planet. Dr. Jeremy Sinclair offers a unique form of preventative medicine, found only in the Twilight Zone. The doctor stood alone in the room, surrounded by the ticking, whirring, and clicking of 1,000 forgotten objects. He looked at the machine, which had seemed like madness only an hour before. Now it looked like a map of the world, a fragile tapestry held together by the careful, deliberate placement of a discarded item here and a found object there. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, bent paperclip he had picked up from the floor. He hesitated, looking at the delicate mechanism. The silence of the room was heavy, yet it was filled with the potential for either disaster or salvation. He remembered the island of Tatoa. He remembered the calm, confident instruction of Edgar Witherspoon. He moved toward a section of the machine that seemed to be vibrating with an unnatural intensity. He found a small, empty hook that looked as though it were designed specifically for the object in his hand. With a steady hand, he attached the paperclip. The vibration stopped. The machine let out a long, contented click. Dr. Sinclair breathed a sigh of relief. He realized that the life he had known, the life of case studies, journals, and controlled observations, had ended. In its place was something vast, terrifying, and profoundly important. He was no longer a psychiatrist looking into the mind of a patient. He was a guardian of the delicate equilibrium that kept the world spinning. He walked to the window. The city looked the same, yet different. Every car, every person, every gust of wind felt connected to the work he now had to do. He looked at his watch. It was not enough to just watch the time anymore. He had to understand the rhythm of it. He sat down in Edgar's chair. It was comfortable, worn by years of service. He picked up a notepad and began to write. He needed to track the adjustments. He needed to learn the language of the voice, or perhaps the language of the world itself. The first few days were the hardest. He made mistakes. He miscalculated the weight of a thimble, and the result was a minor heat wave in a region that should have been cooling down. He scrambled to correct it, using a discarded shoelace and a heavy iron bolt to stabilize the central axis of the contraption. It worked. The weather patterns shifted back to normal within the hour. He began to understand why Edgar had been so eccentric. When one is responsible for the balance of the world, social norms become secondary. Who has time for dinner parties or medical conferences when a slight tilt in the axis could cause a monsoon? He started to see the beauty in the junk. A rusted spring was not just trash. It was a stabilizer. A porcelain doll head was not a toy. It was a counterweight of precise density. He began to roam the city with the same fervor Edgar had possessed. He became a familiar figure at the dump, known to the workers as the man who looked for specific, strange things. His niece, who had worried so much, visited him one afternoon. She found him sitting amidst the chaos, looking more peaceful than she had ever seen him. "Doctor?" she asked, her voice soft. "Are you okay?" "I am fine, Cynthia," he replied, not looking up from a complex arrangement of rubber bands and old spoons. "I am better than fine. I am busy." "You have changed," she said, sitting on a crate. "You seem happy." "I am," he said. "I have found a purpose, a real, tangible purpose." She looked around the room, still bewildered by the clutter. "It is still just a bunch of junk," she said gently. "It is," he agreed. But it is the right junk. It is exactly what is needed at exactly the right time. She smiled a sad, knowing smile. You sound just like him. He looked at her, his eyes serious. Perhaps that is the point. Perhaps we are all meant to be caretakers in our own way. Some of us just have a more specific set of tools. As the weeks turned into months, the world continued its erratic spinning, but it did not go poof. Dr. Sinclair learned to listen. He heard the subtle shifts in the atmosphere, the faint discord in the hum of the city. He learned to interpret the signals. When the air grew heavy, he knew it was time to search for a brass bell. When the wind whistled a particular note, he knew he needed a length of red ribbon. He found that the work was not just about maintaining the status quo. It was about fostering harmony. He discovered that by making these adjustments, he was not just preventing disasters. He was allowing small, positive things to happen. A child found a lost toy. A lost letter reached its destination. A broken friendship was mended by a chance meeting. It was all connected. He began to write a journal not of case studies, but of observations about the interconnectedness of all things. He wrote about the way a paperclip could hold a world together, and how a kind word could change a life. He realized that the distinction between the grand scale of the world and the small scale of human interaction was an illusion. Everything mattered. One evening, as the sun set over the city, casting long, golden shadows through the window of the apartment, the doctor stood by his machine. He had spent the day hunting for an old, out-of-tune harmonica. He had found it at a flea market, the seller thinking he was crazy to pay so much for such a battered instrument. He placed the harmonica carefully in a designated slot. The sound it made was almost imperceptible, a faint resonance that seemed to vibrate through the entire room. He felt a sense of deep satisfaction. The balance was perfect. He walked to the window and watched the city lights blink on, one by one. The world was chaotic, yes. It was filled with noise, with conflict, with, as Edgar had said, a terrific amount of bother. But it was still here. It was spinning, breathing, living. He thought of Edgar Witherspoon in Miami, perhaps sitting on a beach, feeling the breeze and knowing that the work was in good hands. He hoped the old man was enjoying his retirement. He hoped the voice was silent, or at least that it was saying something kind. Dr. Sinclair poured himself a cup of tea. He had a long night ahead of him. He had heard rumors of a strange weather pattern developing in the north, and he had a hunch he would need to find something made of copper before morning. He sat back in his chair, feeling the weight of his responsibility, but also the lightness of his heart. He was a psychiatrist, yes, but he was also a guardian. And in the strange, wonderful, and often inexplicable reality of the world, there was no better calling. He picked up a pen to record the day's adjustments in his log. He titled the page, "On the Precision of Small Things." He wrote about the harmonica, about the weight of copper, and about the peace that comes from knowing one is doing what is right, even if no one else understands why. He looked around the room at the dolls, the shoes, the gears, and the strings. It was his world now. It was a strange world, a world of odd urgencies and irrational demands. But it was a world that remained, and for that he was grateful. He knew his life was forever altered. He would never return to his office, his waiting room, his sterile, predictable routine. He had stepped through the door of the apartment, and in doing so, he had stepped out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. He remembered the first time he had entered, the skepticism he had felt, the desire to label and categorize. He was ashamed of that now. He realized that the greatest danger in his old life had been the assumption that he knew everything, that there was a name for every condition and a solution for every problem. He had learned humility. He had learned that there are forces at work in the world that science cannot measure, and that sometimes the most profound wisdom is found in the hands of a man who rummages through trash. The clock on the wall struck midnight. The doctor did not flinch. He was ready. He stood up, grabbed his coat, and prepared to go out into the night. There was work to be done. There was always work to be done. He stepped out into the hallway, closing the door behind him. He walked down the stairs, his footsteps echoing in the quiet building. He felt the city pulse around him, a living, breathing entity that relied on his vigilance. He stepped out onto the street. The air was cool.